Merry Christmas. We're doing right before the holidays. We're going to be covering chapter 25 through 27. And I think this chapter has a lot of interesting stuff. And then we might go on cruise control for the next one. But we're getting towards the end of the book, which is good because I'm excited to get through this and maybe start on the next one. So we'll talk a lot today because I think there's some interesting things to kind of look deeply into. So, how's it going, Mark?
It's going all right. Pretty good.
You feeling better this week? I hope you are.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
want
I'm
you to
better.
die.
I actually did a podcast yesterday and felt pretty good on that one.
I
And
found an old podcast of before we started doing this or before we even met, and I'm going to post that soon. But I listened to it, and I'm like, oh, because I think you did a podcast on Paul on the word effeminate podcast. Remember that one? And I was like,
with you?
no, this was
With who?
before with no one. I was looking.
Oh,
So in
you
that
a
podcast
video.
is going to
A,
be, huh?
a video?
Yeah. Well, I
What do you
did
mean?
a podcast about you before we met. So
Oh,
it was your clip about Paul, effeminate. So I was just doing a general sign of the times kind of podcast, and in the podcast, I was like, oh, I hope I get to talk to you. And well, I didn't
well,
know
here
that.
I am.
Yeah, here you are. So I'll post that sometime this week.
You're probably
Anyway,
talking about 1 Corinthians 16 or 1 Corinthians 9.
well, it was on the
Yeah.
word effeminate where,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the Latin word, which means effeminatus, which means to become womanly.
yeah.
And for some reason, no, they don't even translate the word anymore now. In the like the ESV doesn't translate that word. They just left it out.
Yeah.
Like what kind of Bible just is like, oh, let's just not translate that word. Let's
Well,
just
I
pretend it
think
doesn't
that,
even exist. That's kind of weird. They don't do that. They're usually pretty serious about translating every single word if possible.
you know why they don't translate it is 'cause
Well, I don't
you
know
talked
why.
about the where the end religion is going to be combining the
Oh,
male
you
and
can't talk about this on YouTube. Come
I
on.
know. But I saw all those podcasts that I did
Uh,
about that stuff before we even knew each other. And I'm like, oh, I think we were
oh,
talking about the same thing.
you were talking about the can I say transpocalypse? That's a
Yeah,
word I invented, by the way. That's an invented word. I invented that word.
yeah, it's hard for me
It's
to say
one of my few achievements in life.
it. Well, it did well. Everybody loves you for that stuff.
I don't know. Some people hate me. Anyway,
I got haters too. They keep going
so
dislike, dislike. Anyway,
actually, on a related note, that's actually kind of what we're talking about in this chapter, Numbers 25,
yeah.
and we see the heading. Now, these headings obviously not part of the original text, but it's a provides us a little heading of what we're going to talk about. But remember, we talked about Balaam, right? And
Yep.
so
And
this is still relates to Balaam. We kind of talked about it a little bit at the end, but I was on the verge of passing out. So,
yeah. Well, I think one of the things about from the last podcast, Balaam was their version of a prophet, not just a.
yeah,
So,
he was a seer.
and now in this chapter, we're going to make a lot of connections about the idolatry of Baal worship. And that, and I had an epiphany from last time to this one, but I forgot everything about it.
It
But it had
happens.
to do with intermingling, and I had the
Uh,
thoughts about something going on today, but it's gone now, so we'll just keep going. You want to read, or should I read?
well, I can read until I pass out. Uh, we'll read the first three verses, I think, and then there's a lot to unpack in only
Yeah,
those three verses. So remember, Balaam tried to or Balak, the king of Moab, wanted to curse the Israelites through Balaam, but God would not allow it. And so I think what happened, we're going to find out, we find out later in the Bible that Balaam came up with this plan. And so these three verses we're going to read, apparently Balaam was involved in this plot or this plan. But we're not told that right here. We are told that later on, um, which I'll look at after I read these three verses here, if that's all right. So, all right, you ready?
Yeah.
And Israel remained at Shittim, and the people began to play the harlot with the daughters of Moab. Now, this here is kind of similar to what we see at the golden calf incident, and I believe somewhere in the New Testament they reference this as well. It's kind of play the harlot with the daughters of Moab. It's kind of a physical harlotry and also spiritual harlotry. Um, but it's kind of this is kind of like so this is the second generation of Israelites, and they're about to enter the promised land, so-called promised land. But now this is kind of like their golden calf incident, you know.
Yeah,
So
I mean, they already forgotten, I guess, or maybe they didn't have that experience like their parents did with the golden calf or what all that meant. But weren't they
here it is.
around with the snake stuff though?
Weren't they what?
Weren't this generation around for judgment from the snakes?
Well, they're still, see, they're human beings, right? These Israelites are still just sinful, rebellious human beings, just like a
Yeah.
lot of the Canaanites or whatever. So they keep rebelling. It doesn't matter.
Oh, but
They're
we're
all
not
where
talking hundreds of years. We're only talking less than 40. So at that point, it's still the same generation. I mean, younger to older.
yeah,
But
yeah. The first
if they're-
generations died off except for like
yeah,
three people.
yeah.
Um, no, yeah, we should all know better, right? They should know better. They should all know better. I don't know what you're talking about, judgment of snakes. Oops,
Oh,
sorry.
when God was mad at them, he sent all the snakes to bite them, and then they had to look at the staff.
Mm,
Was that in
yeah,
the previous generation or the same generation?
that was this generation.
So they had the experience of rebelling, judgment, and repentance.
As we all do multiple times.
Yeah.
Welcome to the human race. Yeah, no, that's that's why, right? I mean, it's yeah, so and there, just to I'm not trying to make a point necessarily, but just as they are keeping the Torah, right? They have their tassels, they're keeping the Sabbath, they're keeping the food laws, they're doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yet they are still playing the harlot with the daughters of Moab. So, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Which is kind of what, I mean, they just like them, right? They're like, oh, they're hot. Let's go get them.
Well, yeah,
Much
that's
like
part of
the
it.
angels, right? They wanted the daughters.
Yeah, it's yeah, yeah. It's that's. I mean,
And, and,
it's probably the greatest weakness to men. For men. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah, and Moab uh, was a Baal worshiper community or region
Yeah.
or whatever.
Well, all right. Let's read all these three verses here.
Yeah.
We're going to see Baal. Baal. My mouse is weird now. Indeed, they called the people to the sacrifices of their gods. See? Okay, so now we got kind of, some kind of sexual harlotry with the daughters of Moab. And it is kind of like Genesis 6, right? The sons of God, in this case the Israelites,
Yeah.
play with the daughters of Moab, right?
Right.
And then now all of a sudden, they're not just having a little fun. Uh, they are now sacrificing to their gods. So, which is kind of like Solomon now. And the people
Yeah.
ate and bowed down to their gods. Let's just finish it, and then we can spend a lot of time on this. So
Mhm.
Israel joined themselves to Baal of Peor, and the anger of Yahweh burned against Israel.
Do you
So,
have that map to show where Peor is?
well, it doesn't matter. I don't know. There's
It
Mount Peor.
matters.
Mount
Okay.
Peor. They're in the same place as before. They're here. The rest of the book of Numbers, they're right around here. And there's
Well,
Moab.
Right.
And then Midian is kind of southeast of Moab, like Saudi Arabia, I think.
All right.
Um, and remember, Moab comes from Lot and his daughter.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird
Incestuous
things.
kids.
Yeah. So anyway, so what does this mean? What are they doing and why? Oh, let's go back to before we forget. Okay, so how was what about Balaam? What happened to him? That was our entire podcast last week.
Yeah.
Behold, this is so we find out in Numbers 31, we finally find out that Balaam was involved in this because it
Yeah.
doesn't tell us right here for some reason. And I think why doesn't see they don't blame Balaam in chapter 25. They don't say, "Oh, that Balaam finally deceived us and tricked us."
Hmm.
It's like, no, the Israelites are basically at fault, and they're punished.
Well, they wanted daughters, so that had nothing to do with Balaam. What they wanted was the relationships. And once you get into those,
But it was a plan, though. They deliberately seduced them. It
yes.
was it was a
You
it was
know
a it
what's,
was almost a military tactic.
you know what another recent military tactic? Um,
Netflix,
huh? No, it was probably
Netflix.
2 years old, maybe the story, but China offered like 10 million women to come here. I don't know how that story, but that just kind of reminds me of that same tactic, how to invade a nation.
With hot girls.
Yeah. So anytime you have to softly kill a nation or turn them, you have to introduce
Yeah.
women.
Yep.
Anyway,
They're so powerful. See?
well,
Who-
yeah,
Who's
but
who's more powerful?
the reason why is because men are not strong enough to stay with the God that they know. Because Adam did the same thing with Eve. He knew better. So God didn't like punish. I mean, they were both punished, but he held Adam more responsible than Eve because he knew
Yeah,
and could have told her or whatever.
that's
So
true.
every
Yeah.
time in every situation, it seems like when they get with women, including Solomon, who was supposed to be the wisest person on the planet at that time, and he ended up doing the same thing, but not just one or two, but with 1,000, a lot. He was
Yeah.
hoarding them. So,
Yeah.
and then Samson, right? He did the same thing. So they all kind of fall when they're God, but yet when they get into those relationships, they go with the women. They don't go with their God anymore. So isn't that more
Yeah.
telling? Even the angels, they did the same thing. They knew God personally, but they said, no, we're going to go get the women. So I don't
And then
think
the
we can
God,
blame the
the
women.
God, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And then so Balaam, so behold, these caused the sons of Israel through the word of Balaam to act unfaithfully. See, through the word of Balaam
Yeah,
to act unfaithfully against Yahweh in the matter of Peor. So the plague was among the congregation of Yahweh. So then they're getting their vengeance. And then here in verse 8, they killed the kings of Midian and they killed Balaam, right? So
right.
that's 31. We'll read about that later, but they get a bit of revenge on Balaam and all these Midianites and the which are involved as well, and the Moabites. But yeah, so they play the harlot with the daughters, just like Solomon, and then Solomon also worshipped their gods.
Yeah.
Solomon became a polytheist, and I think they kind of keep a bit of Yahweh in there, but then they add all this other stuff, and they even put the images of the pagan gods in the temples, including the pillar of Baal. He had a pillar, probably like a phallus type symbol for Baal, and then the tree, the sacred tree, was the symbol for Asherah, which is like
I
the
think
Baal and
Solomon,
Asherah.
yeah, I think Solomon had the most influence probably around that time in that whole region because he had a lot of territory
Yeah,
to really spread idolatry in that whole region, I think.
all the kings. Yeah, after that as well, and yeah, he was probably the richest, most powerful man on earth at that
Yeah.
time. And he also, when you marry the daughters of the king of Egypt or whatever, he married into all these political. So,
Yeah.
which is what they're doing here too, by the way. There's when you have like a wife from a foreign country, now you're in a political alliance
Yeah.
with that country, and that's what's going on here as well. So really, what they're doing is, so if you think of Israel as a nation, right, and they're going to possess the, so we have to talk about the land. Who created the world, the earth, the land? Who created the world?
God.
We know that God, right? So God owns the land.
Yeah.
God is the real landowner, actually, even now.
Well, he owns everything, does he not?
And then
In
he,
a minuscule level.
and
To
then so back in Genesis 12, he said to Abraham, all the families of the earth will be blessed. And, he's basically going to give the land to Abraham. I will make you a great nation, right? To the land which I will show you. Chapter
right.
12, Genesis. So this is like the whole, right here, this is like the whole meta narrative of the Bible. This is what the book of Numbers is about. It's about this family of Abraham going to the land.
Yeah.
That God, if God owns the land, he decides who lives on the land.
Yes,
And,
but the current day Israel thinks by this
well,
prophecy
yeah.
that they're it. They're the one
Well,
who
forget
brought
about them.
that.
They're
Yeah, yeah.
mistaken about that. They're mistaken. But so these guys here, these Israelites are going into the land, the promise, right?
Yeah.
And Paul talks about this in chapter 3 of Galatians. They're going into the land, but now the Moabites with their god Baal, they've seduced the Israelites so they don't go into the land, and so they now are in alliance with Baal. They're basically committing treason, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So, and in a way, I'm thinking like I have a new idea about justification by faith. Um, this is Abraham again. It's kind of more like patriotism, and that's not a word you hear about in church or in the Bible. You know what I mean? But it's like
Mm.
we think about like loyalty, faith, loyalty, all these kind of things. Like for us, we these religious words sometimes just kind of sound kind of warm and fuzzy to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not very precise. But the
Well,
word
they're
patriotism, we all know what that means. And
yeah.
so it's
Well,
like these guys were traitors.
they were traitors, but also God had a reason why he said he's jealous of false worship and idolatry, right? There's a reason for that because all of that other gods, lesser gods or whatever, are tied to spiritual things that are unclean. And if they continue to worship those things, it brings about lots of evil activities, lots of death, lots of perversions of all kinds. And so God is just trying to protect the people that he says, I will be your God, you would be my people. So they don't get corrupted down to the level that they would have to be exterminated if they continue that path.
Yeah, because we become slaves to this is Deuteronomy 32, 16. This is actually Moses talking about what we just read, Numbers 25. Numbers 25 comes up a lot in the Bible. So what Moses says in the Deuteronomy 32, he says, they made him jealous with strange gods. With abominations, they provoked him to anger. That's what see, they're doing sexual fertility rituals. They're having ritual. It's like that's like baptism. It's like a, there's another word I just made up is it's like a sexual baptism.
Yeah, and also they were killing their babies. They were sleeping
Yeah.
around with all the we talked about like who not to sleep with. They were doing all of it. Family members, children.
Well, just here in the Numbers 25, which we just read, I think they're talking specifically about that right here.
Yeah.
And they went on to do other crazy stuff after this, but this is still Moses talking. So before Moses died, he's saying this. They sacrificed to demons who were not
Yes.
God. So Baal and Asherah are demons, according to
Yes.
Moses, according to the
But in
Bible.
order to worship demons, they require something of evil. It's not like, oh, they're good, they're going to provide for me, right? If I
The
worship a
sacrifice,
demon. Well, there's always evil tied to the demonic worship. It is not free and clear. Like,
but it doesn't feel evil. Like I went to a Buddhist temple a few days ago to take some more footage of, people offer the food and the
yeah.
beverages to the idol, to the image of the supernatural entity, which you could call a demon or an angel or an alien, whatever you want to call it. The Greek word daemon originally didn't mean evil demon, it was just supernatural being. But they're
Well, it,
offering to their god, to a false god.
yeah.
They're that's what I just went to a place where they're still doing this, basically.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
got
I
it on
grew up
film.
in India early years where they had all these temples everywhere with all kinds of stuff. And, I've seen them go to these temples and do stuff. So it looks normal, like they're worshiping their God. They're
Yeah.
very religious themselves, right? It's not like,
Yeah. Yeah, they
so
are. Yeah.
yeah, and they're religious and they want all the good blessings, they want all of that. But among all of that, they're rejecting the truth of many, many things. And
They seem like nice people, you know?
they are, a lot of them are. They're humble. I mean, a lot of them are poor. And if you're poor and you're worshiping these idols, what are they asking for? They're just asking to be provided for, right? Something to happen.
Yeah.
So, how can you blame them for reaching out to the God that they know? But at the same time, they don't know the truth. And a lot of the ones, not everybody, but a lot of them are willing to do stuff because they don't know the truth, and then you don't know the underlying effect of what they do to their own families and to others down the line somewhere because there's no restrictions, right? Like where do they get their morals from? Who's telling them what's right and wrong? And even if they have like their own books of morality, it's never tied to the, like, even just a few days ago I was listening to a Jewish rabbi podcast, and he's very knowledgeable about all the Jewish stuff. I mean, everything you can imagine. But 90% of it was wrong. It was not against the word of God. They were talking about reincarnation stuff. They were talking about all
Really?
kinds of, yeah. So we know that's
A
not,
rabbi? Wait, was he
yeah,
a rabbi?
yeah.
Do
Well,
Jews
a
believe in
Jewish,
reincarnation?
yep, and he justified it.
Really?
2 or 3 podcasts about how reincarnation is in the Bible and how like he's always claiming the Christians and the Muslim corrupted Judaism by bringing in all these other ideas about whatever. So I listened to him just to figure out what he thinks from the Jewish perspective because he's talking about sources of the Talmud, Zohar, all these other things that I know nothing about, but he uses them as a scriptural basis to make his arguments. But anything that he said, after you listen for a while, you start to realize it is opposite of what the Word of God says. So I think that's true for any theology outside of Christianity.
Yeah. Well, they also have syncretism, that like Judaism as we know it today began after the temple was destroyed. So it
Yeah,
really comes later than what they call Christianity. Christianity is really the fulfillment of the Old
right.
Testament. So it's really, you know, they had their anyway, that's we could talk about that all
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But they quote, so let's try to stay on the
Yeah, I
chapter.
know. I think what I was trying to
It's
get was the
related.
demonic thing is what's
It's related.
corrupting.
But
Yeah,
here's 1 Corinthians 10, kind of another commentary on the passage we just read. What do I mean then? That a thing sacrificed to idols is anything, or that an idol is anything? And like I said, I just went to a temple where they're doing this. No, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons and not to God. A direct quote from Deuteronomy, the one we just read. And I do not want you to become sharers in demons. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You know the deal. Yeah. So we cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. So yeah, I actually saw, they put this, they make offerings on a table in front. It's literally a table, like an altar in front of the image of a
Yeah. And
small
and
g
you know,
God.
and
And
I
he
think
says,
one of
do
the
not eat it. Do not eat it. Anyway,
yeah, I think one of the
so,
stories was which I've forgotten now, so I'll leave it. Um, okay, so are
but
we?
this is kind of the human story though as well. This is we get distracted. There's other gods, other things to worship. And then right here, the people ate, right? So that's kind of like a covenant meal. And we might disagree on this, but I do believe that the food laws were put in place, and a lot of their laws were put in place to keep them separated from these Canaanites or the Gentiles,
Yeah.
for a specific time and a specific purpose. Because think about it, like, have you ever tried to go eat dinner at a restaurant with a vegan? I don't know if you're a vegan or not, but it's
I'm
like
not a vegan, but yeah, I've
it's
been around.
impossible. You can't do it. You
Yeah,
can't do it. So if you have a certain food, certain food that you eat and don't eat, and I
yeah,
myself, I've kept these food laws for a few years, about 5 years, because I wasn't even sure. Like I was like, well, I don't know. These guys are saying you got to keep the food laws on the Sabbath. And I never fully believed it, but I was like, well, just in case, because it's so easy to do, really. It's easy to do, but it's difficult to go out to eat with other people at a restaurant. So
it
it's
is
when you're eating
because
with
the
other
thing that
people, it's difficult.
yeah, I mean, God kind of in the New Testament made it say anything He made clean now, it's clean to eat. But at the same time, I think He did have a reason for certain foods not to be eaten, like pork,
Well, yeah, we
shrimp,
could
and
talk
all
about
that
that
other
all day
stuff.
long. Yeah, maybe, but the end result, you see it in Galatians 2 where Peter didn't want to eat with the Gentiles, even though
Yeah.
he's not, he doesn't need to do that. But um, so it's where's the word until? Why the law then? Added because of trespass. It was basically a the real Greek word here. It's really more of it's not tutor. It's more like a babysitter. It's not a teacher. It's a babysitter. It's a nanny.
What?
Anyway, until the law was there, the Mosaic covenant was there until the seed would come.
Yeah, until
To whom
Jesus came.
the promise that we read about, the Abrahamic promise, if you belong to Christ, you are Abraham's seed, heirs according to promise. So we're going to talk about heirs today in Numbers 25, 26, 27. We're going to see this concept of land and inheriting the land. What does that mean? Who inherits the land, and what land are we talking about, and why?
Well,
So this is what we're going to talk about today, actually. And it's
all
here.
right.
Here's the punchline right here.
All right.
That's it. See, nobody talks about Abraham's seed anymore, or the promise. It's all about who who is the who who's
Well,
going to inherit the land. That's the question. Who is going to inherit the land? It's not about
all
going
of
to heaven.
Abraham descendants, which are numerous as stars, big as the sand in the sea, and as much as the dust in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
so
But
it's
is
going
that
to
is
be
where's the land? Is the land in heaven? Do we
no,
go to heaven and live there forever?
no, it's the earth. It's back on earth.
The
We
land.
get a new heaven and a new earth. I personally think, and I don't have to be right on this, but I think the believers, all those are in faith of our Abraham seed that are growing in numbers. Did you leave?
No, I just had to
Oh,
do something.
uh, that the new heaven and the new earth, maybe he's talking about the new heaven and new earth as the inherited land rather than that little sliver.
No, you're right. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
All
No,
right.
that's not even a debate. That's not even a strange idea. Most people don't know that, so it sounds strange, but you're totally 100% correct,
Oh my
in my
God, we
opinion.
agree. I know,
First
I didn't
time
even
ever.
have, I know. And that wasn't even based on any verse. It was just
No,
my
that's the end of
thoughts.
that's how the whole Bible ends.
Yeah. But I mean, like, okay, so to clarify, whatever is happening now where they think they're going back to the land has nothing to do with what God is talking about, giving the promised land to the Abraham descendants, which is all of us plus more. I think billions and trillions, whatever. It's going to be in the whole resurrected new earth, new
Yeah,
heaven.
that's the promised land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We're on same page. Ooh, that's
So
never.
anyway, what else? So really they're trying, this is like a, not just like, they're not just kind of whoring around physically, sexually, but they're also worshiping other gods. So they're committing treason. They've abandoned God and gone back to Egypt and, more or less.
Yeah.
So this is treason. That's why I say the word patriotism, patriotic towards the kingdom of God and the king, who is God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. It's like for me, I need to simplify things so I understand it. It's like,
Well,
wait a
what's
minute, I
wrong with
understand what
harlot?
patriotism is.
What about
We have That's faith.
harlotry? I think that's a good word because it really is saying that they're cheating on God.
It's the marriage metaphors all over the Bible, right? So God is the husband and
Adultery.
Israel
Yeah.
is the wife. So like the we're kind of called the children of God, but also the wife of God. So they're cheating on God. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's adultery.
Right.
So when you see this word a lot in pornea, no, yeah, pornea, which we get the word pornography from, but that's used a lot in Greek for the cheat. It's basically adultery,
You know what the
harlotry.
best book of adultery, which all of this will play into later?
Hosea,
Hosea. That's
yes.
all.
He actually wasn't he like told to marry a whore?
Yeah. But it's such an emotional book from God's perspective. Like he's a
Yeah,
jilted lover and he's like, go marry her.
yeah.
So
Go
it's
marry a whore because you guys are all a
yeah.
bunch of whores
Yeah,
or whoremongers. Yeah.
so
No,
I
so
can't
it's
wait to
like
get to
this
that book.
physical and spiritual harlotry. They're cheating
Yeah.
on God. So that's why it's like treason. Just to use words we understand today. Like
Yep.
faith, part of faith is being patriotic towards the kingdom of God. Is that crazy? No one's ever said that, but yet it makes sense to me. I don't know.
No, it
Someone will
is.
call me
That's
a
what it
heretic.
is. It's adultery and they're leaving their commander in chief to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
So
just think of, and they're kind of in an army anyway, these
yeah.
guys, right? Especially these guys. It's like, what if you're in an army, you're in the U.S. Marines, and then all of a sudden you go off, you're invading Iraq, and then you go off with the girls in Iraq, but then you become an Iraqi citizen.
Yeah,
That's
and
treason. That's not good. You can't do that, right? You're not supposed
and
to do that.
throughout history, they've used that concept of intermarrying with other nations' daughters to gain land or whatever.
Yeah, so they're getting led astray from the kingdom of God, and they're entering into the kingdom of Baal, which is Moab, and a lot of these, that's
Which
what's
is a
going on.
demon.
And it was a deliberate plot masterminded by Balaam because he couldn't curse them, but he could deceive them, which we're going to see at the end of right there. It's a deceptive trick. See, the end of the
Yeah.
chapter. But
I really had a thought about that, and I wish I could remember, but I can't. It
so
was,
so the people of God can be deceived. They can't be cursed, but they can be deceived. Or,
yeah, because
according to this.
definitely. Well, God was protecting them by not allowing them to be cursed, but they still had the free will of what they've been rebelling all along. So
See,
when
they're
they're put
eating
in that,
food. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead. Sorry.
I was
Yeah,
just
they're
thinking when
eating.
they're put in that situation of now being on border with other nation that had other gods. I can see that happening because we always have that intermarriage anyway, right? Isn't that why God said, don't be unequally yoked?
Yeah. And they're eating food sacrificed to idols right here and possibly entering into covenant meals. They basically committed treason, you
Yeah.
know. They've joined themselves. So there's some kind of sexual ritual going on, like an initiation ritual. And they had all kinds of weird stuff going on, which I talked about in my other videos sometimes. So Israel joined themselves to Baal of Peor, and the anger of Yahweh burned against Israel. So that's, I mean, that's totally.
Well, that means they were probably going to their
justified.
temples.
So imagine if a U.S. Marine joined himself to the Iraqi army. Basically, it's like changing armies to you're going to join the opposing army now and fight against
The
the
spiritual
U.S. now.
army. They
Yeah. Well, these
changed their
guys are an
God.
army. These guys are basically an army. Um, so that's what it's like. And what would happen if a U.S. Marine, ran away and joined the Iraqi army or with the Russian army, whatever army, the
Court
Chinese army,
martial.
be executed probably, right?
Yeah.
Court martial, executed, whatever. So is God an evil, angry? Well, he says is angry there, but is God out of line here? Because everyone says, "Oh, God is so
No,
mean in the Old Testament."
no, because we're following the story of Yahweh and his people. And when his people went astray and then they started doing all these other spiritual things, God was going to take judgment. It's okay. It's his army, right?
Yeah, it's his
And
land,
he's
it's
inviting
his plan.
everybody to his kingdom. That's what it is. He's building a kingdom.
See, these guys are kind of
Not
just
in the
want to do
earthly
what they
kingdom.
want to do. Yeah, and it's also a bit of delayed gratification, right?
Hmm.
They've been waiting for 40 years, whatever, to get into this land, and they're still not there yet. And then these hot women come around, and they're interesting, exciting gods that allow them to do anything they want.
Yeah,
And they're like, "Hey, party time!"
probably. Yeah. I mean, their temples were probably exciting, you know. They didn't
Well,
have
they are. I just
rules
went
to
to one.
follow, and they probably had parties, you know.
Well, they did. No, it says right here they played. They sat up to
Oh,
play.
yeah.
They even the golden calf thing at Mount
Oh,
Sinai.
yeah.
They were already partying back then.
Right.
That was an orgy. This is an orgy.
Yeah.
There were probably a bunch of transvestites around as well. That's part of the deal here. That is part of the deal because Baal had Asherah as his consort, and Asherah had the gender bending cross dressing priesthood as well, which we do see about many times in the Old Testament. Maybe not specifically here, but it's implied. All right, should we move on? Because
Yeah.
we're going to find out more about this political. It's a conspiracy, is what it is, actually. This plan to deceive the Israelites. Now, not all of them were deceived, but many of them. All right, so let's move on.
Yeah.
That was 3 verses there. But the rest of it, we don't have to spend as much time on all the verses today, but this chapter especially has a lot of stuff. And Yahweh said to Moses, "Take all who are the heads of the people and execute them in broad daylight before Yahweh." So the leaders, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
The leaders of the different, whether it's the different tribes, probably more the different clans or the groups, or even they had all kinds of leaders, and they had quite a
Well, it's still a
sophisticated
large
organization there.
community. It's still a lot of people. So I'm sure they had little tribal leaders to manage
Yeah,
those
well, they
groups.
did. It talks about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that the burning, all right, execute them so that the burning anger of Yahweh may turn away from Israel. So this is almost it's a what's the word we use today? Capital punishment. It's justice being done. I don't. It's not a human sacrifice or anything like that. But the justice needs to be done so that Yahweh doesn't destroy everybody.
Yeah. I mean, he's God, so if he's like, I mean, I'm sure, like, he isn't it just showing all of his emotions of patience, love, kindness, gentleness, and now anger and all this other stuff.
Yeah, but it's also there's like a standard of
Judge,
justice.
yeah. And he
He's
has to be so irritated that this even happened.
this is illegal. What they did was kind of illegal. They broke the law, even though they had their tassels on. They're getting executed.
Yeah.
They're
Well, they
not
deserved
entering
it.
the promised land
Yeah.
because of the tassels or the food laws or the Sabbath. They kept
But
the
doesn't
Sabbath.
this
They're getting
also
executed.
follow in the New Testament in a way too, that those that don't obey God, that don't follow him, don't stay till the end,
Yeah,
are going to be executed. They're not.
yeah.
God's not going to be playing around with.
We're in a similar situation.
Yeah.
We have, something's. has where the new covenant has begun, but we're still we're still in our physical bodies, not in our spiritual bodies. We're not in our resurrected state. Jesus is resurrected already, and we have the promise, and we're sealed for that through the
Yeah.
Spirit. We have the Spirit, which they didn't really have. Only so far right now, Moses, uh, Joshua, and Caleb have the Spirit on them, and
Yeah.
some of these other leaders had it for, I think, temporarily. The Spirit is what they need. They have the tassels in the food laws. They don't have the Spirit, so they're still
Yeah.
whoring around.
All right. So let's see what happens to them.
Anyway, so there it is. God's executing people again. So Moses said to the judges of Israel, look at that.
Mhm.
Each of you kill his man. Judges, right? We have this today, right? Judges decide to execute people sometimes, right?
Only in
They
yeah,
do in
criminal
Texas.
matters, right?
Well, no, these guys are criminals.
All right. Yeah.
They're
Yeah. So
criminals.
I guess, well, they hand, I don't know if the judges are actually killing there or just handing down the decree.
Well, here I think they actually did kill him as well. Nowadays, the judges don't actually. We should do that today. The judges who decide on capital punishment, they should kill the person themselves.
Well, that would be nice. Otherwise,
It'd
just a
be, I
random
know,
piece of
then it's
paper.
a little more serious.
Yeah.
So Moses said to the judges of Israel, each of you kill his men who have joined themselves to Baal of Peor. They join themselves right here, right? Through these, playing the harlot with these women and eating and bowing down to their God. Now, this could be singular, I believe, because the Elohim is in the plural, but it's one of those words that, so I don't know. But anyway, only Baal is mentioned, but they had other gods as well.
I think they
But
had ton of gods because you see that
yeah,
that stuff's still alive today.
it's always Baal and Asherah at the very
Yeah. But
least.
they make
And
like different versions of all kinds of stuff. So,
India has like millions of gods, right?
oh yeah, probably
I
unmeasured.
have some friends of mine are Indian, they're Christians from India, and they tell me all kinds of stuff. It's pretty interesting. They're
Mhm.
very ostracized.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, they're not
uh,
welcome. Christians are not. I think they just
yeah,
have to hide because they started,
yeah,
the nation itself started saying it's going to be declaring itself as a Hindu nation.
yeah, yeah,
So that
yes,
meant anybody, so long, long ago, everybody was tolerated. You could have literally all kinds of temples in every religion side by side, and nobody cared. Today, they do care. So they're trying to make it all one religion, one community, one everything.
okay,
And that means they are going against Christians. They're burning down their
mhm,
churches. They
yeah.
go after
I
their
hear about that.
pastors.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
And even Muslims, they're small communities are hated. So everybody's hated if
Hmm.
you're not part of the big crowd. And they're trying to weed it all out so it becomes more uniform, which it wasn't
Okay.
like that before. So it was actually a lot more freedom long ago because they just said anybody does whatever they want, and they would live literally side by side. They don't do that now.
Yeah, I mean that's the threat of Christianity because you're there. There's only one God,
Right.
and you don't see. Maybe in the past they thought, well, we're polytheists, so they can worship Yahweh if they want, and other people will worship all these other gods, whatever. But Yahweh
So,
is exclusive. So you kind of reject the other gods by definition.
well, the word of God, if it was to spread in those kind of nations, like China, India, whatever, the growth is exponential there, pretty much. If all of them, or many of them, even 10% decided to follow Yahweh, that would make a huge impact in that nation. And China, like, for a while, they were saying that Chinese were the fastest growing Christian, um, but they still wouldn't allow any worship of Christianity above ground, right? They would burn down their churches or close them down or whatever.
Yeah.
So they all have to do underground. But I noticed, like, I think if there's probably going to be a breakthrough if God really wanted to save a lot of people in those nations, it's going to open up. Whether every time any nation try to suppress Christianity only grows more. And so I think it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a matter of time.
there's usually like severe persecution, and then there's a kind of a backlash or something, and
Yeah.
something kind of like with Constantine, they were the Roman Empire was exterminating them. You had to get a certificate of sacrifice to the Roman gods, otherwise couldn't buy or sell. Kind of like in
Right. We just,
2021, the same thing happened.
yeah, and that's getting closer and closer. We're getting in a tighter little box. So it is going
Oh
to
yeah.
matter. And the wheat and tares are kind of being separated a little bit right now. And more, anyway.
All right. All right, let's keep going.
Verse 6.
We talk about all kinds of stuff. Anyway, then behold, one of the sons of Israel came and brought near to his. Okay, this is interesting here. Behold, one of the sons of Israel, some guy, came and brought near to his brothers. We're going to find out his name later. A Midianite woman, and we'll find out her name as well. So, a Midianite woman. They were kind of allies with Moab, by the way,
Yeah.
in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of the sons of Israel. Okay. While they were weeping at the doorway of the tent of meeting. Now, here why are they weeping? Probably because they just heard about that they're supposed to kill all these guys. They're kind of
Yeah.
a little sad about what's going on here. Oh man, this is terrible. What happened here? This was bad.
Yeah.
So there's some of the people are feeling regret about this. Maybe these guys weeping maybe didn't do it, but they know that bad things have happened,
Yeah.
and they have to execute all these people now. They're not happy about this. So they're at the tent of meeting, and then uh, oh, Phinehas. Should we just call him Phinehas? I didn't look up
Yeah,
the Hebrew.
sure.
This Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, is now the high priest because Aaron has died.
Yeah.
So Phinehas, and yeah, I'm probably not saying it right, but Phinehas is. We're not saying any of these names right, by the
No,
way. If we speak it in English, I can read
and
the Hebrew, but then it's going to sound funny, and then people will complain either way. So you can't win. You can't win with the pronunciation of any name in the Bible
oh,
because we
you
pronounce
can't.
all of them wrong. And if you pronounce them correctly according to the Greek or Hebrew, people get even more upset.
Not only that, remember the Jewish rabbi podcast? All the names that, like Abraham, every name in the Bible,
Abraham, yeah.
yeah, he was pronouncing it so different. Like I couldn't even,
Moshe, Moses is
yeah,
like Moshe, something like that.
yeah. Every name was so
So,
far off.
yeah,
So like
yeah.
at this
We're
point,
speaking English here. So
yeah,
this
I
is in
want English.
English. My
Yeah.
name is pronounced differently in every other language. No one can say my name in Japanese. They cannot say
Mark?
They cannot say the R. They say Maku.
Uh,
And you can't get upset about
Aku.
that. There's different languages. All right. Anyway, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, is also very different in Hebrew. Son of Eleazar, the high priest, and he has a role to play. He's the guardian of the sanctuary. He's the guardian. All right. So he's not some random Charles Bronson kind of guy. This isn't Die Hard 2. This is Phinehas. He has a job of protecting the temple. Remember the Levites in
Yeah.
the priestly family? They had a job to protect the temple from like the White House. We
Oh
talked
yeah,
about
the
that, right?
Secret Service.
So
Yeah.
yeah, this is Secret Service right here. You can't just go walking into the White House, anytime you
Right.
want. So this is the Secret Service guy right here protecting the temple. And so that's what it is. So if you don't know that, it's going to look strange what happens here. He's not a vigilante killer, all right?
No, he
He's
had
the
to
son
protect.
of the high priest, and he has a role. We've heard about their role already, and
Yeah, and
so
I think
far
we did talk about that they had the power to execute judgment.
they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do to protect the temple, the sacredness of the holy place.
Yeah.
The temple is kind of the holy land, really. Wherever the presence of God is, that's the that's paradise. That's the Garden of Eden. It's the temple.
Yeah.
So Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, right?
Yeah.
Saw it. So he saw what's going on. So he arose from the midst of the congregation and took a spear in his hand. So he brought this guy here, brought a woman. It sounds like he brought him near the temple, right? And now it's possible they were trying to do some kind of weird sex ritual kind of stuff. It's a bit unclear,
No,
but
I
no,
think
no, no. We're gonna see that they were
uh,
to. We're going to see what happened. Here, hold on. Let's get to the end of this here. And he went after the man of Israel into the tent, into the tent.
Yeah.
They're in it. Is it the tent of the tabernacle? It almost sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Which tent is it? And pierced both of them through. So if you're going to pierce two people with one spear at the same time, they're very close together, possibly doing some certain things. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
of Israel, he went after the man of Israel into the tent and pierced both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman, the Midianite woman, through the body with one spear, right? One time
But
pierced
they
both of
were
them.
crying at the tent of the meeting, so
Who was? Who
they're not
was?
going to be uh the the two of them. They,
No, 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 no.
who
The
was crying?
congregation. The congregation is crying.
Oh, okay. In the sight of Moses, in the sight of a congregation, while they were weeping at the,
Oh, you're asking who is they?
yeah.
No, I don't think this is the two people. I think this is the Israelite, the sons of Israel, or they. That's usually how it works. The sons of Israel are they. The antecedent of the pronoun comes right before. That's how I've always read it, unless you have some
Okay,
radical
you
new
see
interpretation.
another translation that says it differently.
That that's not really going to solve the
Well,
issue, to
I
be honest.
just want
But
to read it correctly.
uh, no, 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 no. That's not reading it correctly. You got to read the Hebrew and translate it yourself, which we
No, I
can't
mean
do
just the
right now.
English portion of what they're actually trying to say, because they
Reading it
messed up.
correctly is reading it in anyway. What verse is it? They, verse
Like,
6. All right, let's go to the King James correct version.
it is the correct authorized version. All right.
Uh,
Behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses and in the sight of all the congregation of children of Israel who were
who?
weeping before the tabernacle of the congregation. So they
The
were the
door.
children of Israel who were weeping.
Yeah, the Israelites, the
Yeah.
congregation of the children of Israelites. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a good point. Sometimes you're not, the pronouns are a little unclear sometimes in the
As you
Bible.
know, today they're always unclear, so it's kind of important.
Yeah, what are they? It could be one person. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So they've confused us even more now.
Yes. All
They've
right.
deceived
So,
us.
okay. So
Yeah.
they
So
brought
they're no,
the
these
and the
guys are up
woman.
to no good. These two people here, these two people who got pierced with a spear were up to no good at the temple. Okay, pierced through the body. Then the plague on the sons of Israel was checked. So basically, what happened? Here's the deal.
So they were
Okay,
bringing
here's
on a plague.
here's the deal. All right. So where's the word execute? Here. Okay. Yahweh told Moses, we have to execute these people,
Yeah.
right? Then these people here, the congregation, they're sitting around crying. They haven't executed anybody yet. So Phinehas
Oh, I
finally was the
see.
first guy to execute someone. He's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it. Let's get this party started.
Well, they killed 24,000 of them. But yeah, I
Yeah, or
think what
24
it,
Elif.
no. Uh,
24 exactly
you know how
24,000.
many
Why not
people
why
have
not
already
24?
died?
Why not 24,003 people?
Because God's precise, He likes even numbers.
Why do 90% of these numbers in the Old Testament end with three zeros?
Because God likes even numbers.
Okay, I guess so. So according to my calculations, this would be about like
24 people?
no, 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 24 LF, 24 groups of people,
Okay,
24
well,
dozen people,
Aleph
24
also,
dozen, 24
yeah,
dozen people, 280 something, 88, 288 people.
no.
That's
Okay.
according to the Hebrew,
Yeah, but Aleph also
according
means,
to my theory, according to my hypothesis.
yes, I
Just
know.
FYI, you don't have to believe it, but
I
I'm
don't believe
talking so I
it.
can say it. People
Yes.
can agree or not. I still have to put out more video. I have so much evidence of that, but we don't have to talk about that now. So anyway, that's what it says here in English. Yes, that's correct. There's a lot of people to die. And
Yes, well, they were
this,
covering the land. So if
you know
God
how big
wanted
the
to
nation,
bring out the plague,
You know how big the modern day nation of Israel is? You know how big it is? It's the size of Vermont.
Yeah, and you know how much Vermont people can be held? You know, I lived in New York City, and there's millions of
I
people there
did too.
in a
I
little
lived there
sliver,
too.
in a little sliver of land. How many people live
This
in New
isn't
York
as
City?
populated as Manhattan here.
Yeah, but that's how
This is
you
not
can
Manhattan.
have, right? But you can easily have 2 million people in that little area. Easily.
I don't think this was a sprawling metropolis right
It
here. These are little
was.
towns, little villages with mountains and
No,
sheep
it said
and
they
goats,
covered the land in the
the
last chapter.
wilderness. Yeah.
They looked
Anyway,
on the
all
mountains.
right. Anyway, okay. The number popped up. We talked about that.
Yes.
Phinehas. All right. So you understand what happened here. Phinehas was obeying God. He was executing the people who committed treason.
And
You know what I'm saying?
the end of that was was actually stopping the plague that's coming
That's
up.
what the priest did. The priest protected the Israelites from the wrath of God because the Israelites they're human, so they're always messing up.
Right.
They're just human, just like I am, right? I'm always messing up. They always messed up. They're human. Welcome to the human nature, right? That's why the Torah
Yeah,
was
but
there
there's
to
only
kind
so
of keep
many
them in line
excuses.
enough, to kind of keep them in line enough to get to this to follow the plan of God, because they're just as rebellious as the Canaanites.
Yeah, but there is consequences of rebelling. You either enter
See,
the
the
kingdom of God or you don't. So,
Israelites are not inherently righteous people or better than anyone else, but they think they are, don't they? Do you get that sense? They won't even eat with Gentile. I've been in a place where there was this event I was at, and there was a bunch of Jews there. You couldn't sit with them or eat with. There was like a buffet. They had their own separate food, and you couldn't eat it. And they had their own separate tables, and you couldn't join them
because they
because I'm a
don't know the
Gentile.
whole story. They follow their own little Talmud and other stuff that tells them what's right and wrong. I mean, you really should watch some of these videos because it's so eye-opening as to how they're brought
What
up
they
and
believe.
raised.
Yeah, see, most Christians don't really understand that
They hate
the modern day
Christians.
Jude modern they do modern day Judaism is more like Babylonian mysticism. They read the
It's all
Talmud,
mysticism.
the
Yeah.
Zohar. They read
The
other books.
Kabbalah is the
Kabbalah. There it
yeah.
is. Yeah, yeah. There's a bit of Old Testament in there. You know, a bit of Torah, a bit of Pentateuch, whatever. That's part. So it's kind of a
Well, what
syncretism.
they did, okay, so what I know from Talmud and all these other supportive documents that they built, every single part of it. So, like, we read the Old Testament right now, right? We're reading the book, we go through it, and we analyze it. What they're doing is they take the same verses, the same knowledge, and then they've built a whole theology around it, how to get out of it. It's not like to honor God, whatever he's saying. They write it in a way to saying, oh, let's find loopholes. They're always finding loopholes around whatever the text says. So that's like the bulk of the teachings is, all the how the rabbis analyzed it and what they think it needs to be done. And there's a lot of perverted stuff in there too. But it's always like, how do we go around what God is saying, not necessarily like honoring what he's saying, you know? But I don't know.
Yeah.
So like
But they
even,
think they're right. Everyone thinks they're right. That's the thing.
yeah,
Everybody, you
but
know what I
it's
mean?
not
So
it's
there's so many
God's.
different beliefs out there.
Well, that's the problem, right? How do they find Yahweh when there are so many beliefs? And then they would take the same belief and then turn it into 50 other beliefs. So I think maybe God is, it's all by spirit. I guess if we hear his voice and that's what we choose, um, maybe that's how
Yep.
God is testing the world, right?
All
Which
right.
voice do
Well,
you hear? All right, Joe.
you got some weird noise going on there, by the way. I think your mouse or something. Piece of paper. All right. So jealousy of Phinehas. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aharon, the priest, has turned away my wrath. See, that's his job.
Yeah.
He turned away my wrath. He's doing his job. It wasn't some random guy doing a vigilante killing
Yeah.
like Charles Bronson. No, it wasn't that.
I-
Or Dexter. He's not Dexter. Although Dexter, I think, have you ever seen that show, Dexter?
Yeah.
I think he is the avenging angel though, because he only kills the bad guys. He has a code. He's kind of like
Yeah,
the Satan. He's the
but
Satan.
except for one thing. God said
What?
vengeance belongs to me. So I don't think he's
Dexter belongs
commanding
to him? Who
anybody
belongs to him?
vengeance.
Vengeance. Yeah, no, he's the angel of vengeance.
Yeah.
God will send an angel of vengeance. Dexter is the angel of vengeance.
Yeah, I guess.
They do
Could,
this a lot in movies. Like they only kill the bad guys. He didn't just go randomly kill everybody.
well,
He
because
was
they want
he
to
was
glorify murder and
he was
death.
killing serial killers. So he's the angel
Yeah.
of vengeance.
Well, what happens if they decide that we're the bad guys and they can kill us?
Well,
Where
these
does it
right here,
stop?
look at this. What happened? There's a plague on the I think God right now in this story so far in this book of Numbers, not too many Canaanites have really died. Some have, I think, but a lot of Israelites have died by
Yeah,
God.
because
Canaanites are not killing the Israelites. God is killing the Israelites so far in the story.
yeah.
Seriously.
Well, he's was it judgment belongs to the house
Yeah.
first or something like that?
So this would be like if you're the U.S. Marines are
Oh,
invading some country, the U.S. Army is invading a country, but they're killing their own soldiers before
you
they
know,
even start the battle.
yeah, but though, this is so relevant for today, though. So, like, all the church, I actually was listening to my own podcast about apostasy and the corruption in churches. And if
Oh
that
yeah.
is now turning away from God to follow all this other whoredoms of whatever beliefs they want, wouldn't the judgment come upon the house first? Because now they're corrupting.
It does. It says that somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
shouldn't we expect to see judgment against
Because
so-called?
we're supposed to be patriotic or loyal, faithful to God, right?
Yes, but what
I mean, who
happens
else
when
is
the
going to do it?
churches are not that way?
We're judged. We're judged.
In what way, though?
Judgment can come on to plague, pestilence, deception,
Yeah.
invasion by foreign armies,
Mm.
famine, earthquakes.
Yeah, but nobody knows that's judgment, though, for that specific thing. Here, they're always telling it's judgment, and then the people, the high priests, are carrying out that judgment.
So,
Like if
so who
something
turns
like
away
that
our wrath?
happens,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
No, sorry, go ahead. I was just,
Who? Go ahead.
I
I'll
was just
remember what I was
thinking
going
the
to say.
wrath, like we're told God's wrath is going to happen the way it's going to happen in Revelation. But like if any of these events, like the natural stuff that happens today, nobody knows that's God's wrath.
Some
Be-
people believe it is.
yeah, but God never communicated in a way that
Oh,
he's,
I see what you mean. Yeah, it's not like we get the memo or something.
yeah,
Yeah, but so who turns away the wrath of God now?
Christ.
Yes, the Messiah. So anyway, just
Yeah,
lest we forget. And my jealousy, right? Jealousy.
yeah.
So there you have this kind of marriage analogy again, right?
Yes, you
Um,
remember the line that very famous clip from Oprah that she said, "I can't follow a God that jealous God." Like what is, remember that? You ever,
oh, I no, I don't pay attention to Oprah,
no,
but
it's a very old
it's
clip
it's
from
it's
the,
misunderstood. Yeah, what this
yeah,
means it makes they think that God is insecure. That's not what's
right.
going on at all.
No.
It's might not even be the best English word though. I think that's what most they use. This is KJV by the way, but yeah, they all kind of use this word jealousy. There's I think it's a slightly different nuance,
There's a
you know.
different connotation. I think it's the right word. It's just not used like how we use it. Uh,
Yeah, it's hard to get
it's
yeah.
jealousy in a way that they're turning, because he's always talking about adultery, right? That they're turning away from him to commit whoredom against other
Oh,
gods.
here. I got a definition here from the lexicon. A desire for exclusivity in a relationship.
Yeah, he's in a relation. He's married to Israel,
And
right?
exclude because a covenant is kind of like a marriage contract.
Yeah.
with God, right? So
But he
exclusive. It's
always
an exclusive covenant.
in a marriage because he
Yeah.
says they're the bride, they're the wife that cheated on him. That's what the whole book of Hosea
It's
is.
an exclusive covenant. So
Yeah.
that's what this is talking about. You broke my exclusive covenant by whoring around with, really, they're whoring around with the other gods
Yeah.
and the women. But so yeah. So did I read all this yet? Turned away my wrath from the sons of Israel, in that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I did not consume the sons of Israel in my jealousy. This is Yahweh speaking here, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like if my wife came home and I was in bed with another girl, she
Mhm.
might kill me.
'Cause you might, yeah, I think so. And you deserve it. Well, I mean, that's what I mean.
So
I think God, if he has claimed his people to be his wife, spiritual wife, then he has every right to feel because he's one-to-one relationship with them, right? And they can't just
yeah.
be doing whatever they want. Like that's stupid, especially
So
when
yeah,
they
I
have
mean
your
but
contact.
it's not an insecure God like the
No,
what's that?
because
There's that famous guy who writes about the DNA and all that. I actually read his book in college. I forget his name offhand. The Selfish Gene, Dawkins,
oh,
Richard Dawkins. Is that
uh-huh,
right?
yeah.
He wrote a book called The Selfish. He, all these guys, they just look at these things on the surface level. They don't understand what a covenant is, and so if you don't believe God created the land and all this stuff, then yeah, they're slandering God is what they're doing
Well,
by
everybody,
saying,
everybody is slandering God.
God's an insecure, jealous,
Yeah.
emotional, erratic psycho. They even say he's a psychopath. I've heard people say. I think
Oh,
that's a
by far
Dawkins quote.
worse. I mean,
Yeah,
even in comedy, like one of the women comedian, oh, she's horrific. Like the stuff
probably
that
not a
people
real woman.
say about God that don't believe, they don't just
Yeah,
like leave them be. They gotta hate them and then
they hate him. Yeah,
yeah,
well,
and
because
the
he,
spirit.
yeah, I mean, I used to be like that. I used to be an atheist, so it wasn't just this. Oh, I'm not interested. It was like an act of hatred.
Yeah, so that hatred is like what I don't understand. I'm like, okay, if you don't want to believe in him, you don't have to. But what I think the reason they hate him so much is because of the standard of goodness that he is and what he requires. And then anyone, so they're basically hating themselves. Like, I don't want this goodness. I want to be this in my sins. And they don't want
Yeah,
anybody to judge them on that.
yeah. They're threatened by
Yeah,
it.
it's a threatening. Yeah.
Yeah, because they kind of deep down know it's true. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, because I'm speaking from my own experience. I mean,
Yeah.
I burned Bibles before.
Well, Paul,
When
he
I was
was,
a teenager.
yeah, because you don't
I
know.
was
I think
drunk.
it's,
Yeah, I was drunk. Just that's not an excuse, but it was. I mean, I was
but why
a
did you
child of
hate
the
God?
devil.
Why did you
Hmm?
hate God? Why did you hate God?
There's no logical reason for it. I just I don't know. I thought because I think it was a threat to my own sovereignty. I wanted to be God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't want to live under his righteousness, right? Because you had to do whatever you wanted to do. And you were
Yeah.
probably mad at the circumstances too.
I didn't read the Bible first before
Yeah.
I burned it,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Well,
stupid.
well, here you
I
are
should
now.
have read it
So,
first. I should have read it first. You got to read the book first before you burn it. But if I
yeah,
would
but
have read it,
I
I
think you
probably would have been converted, to be honest.
should.
Seriously. How could you not be? How could you read this book and not be converted? But a lot of, I don't know.
Well,
That's
you have to
because
understand it though. I didn't understand it the very first time I tried as a teen. I didn't,
but you
nothing.
tried again though at some point.
Yeah,
You
because
didn't just give up on it. You didn't burn it like I
no,
did.
because I knew God was real. I just didn't know who he was, right? So, but it took until my 30s to finally catch on. Not because of
Yeah.
the word. I had to do that after. So, because I didn't understand it. Like,
Well, it's hard to understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
especially because no one really explains it. um,
Right. There was nobody around to explain it. And then,
there's a lot of church activity going on, but they're not actually explaining the Bible. Churches don't
right.
really like the Bible,
And a lot of it's false teaching, like as time grew, there were more
most of
and
it. Yeah.
more. So I wanted to know the truth. That was the whole thing why I started. And really why I started, because I wanted to explain it to my parents, because they wouldn't understand any of this. So I was trying to break it down for them, but they're not interested. So
I remember when, oh, go ahead. Yeah.
no, that's it.
But when I was like 30, I started getting in the Bible, and I was still single. I had the Bible on my kitchen, my coffee table in my apartment. And then one day, like some girl came over and she's like, "Is that a Bible?" She was like, I could have had a human head on the table and it would have not offended her so much. It was like
Yeah.
the worst thing you could ever have on
Uh-oh.
your coffee table. She was just so offended by that. She was
Oh
just
no.
shocked. She was shocked.
Yeah, because it makes people react to it. I don't know what it is, but
I was
it
like,
is,
yeah, it
it's
is the
super
Bible. Yeah.
emotional for people to either follow or not follow.
Yeah. So anyway, all right,
Yeah,
moving on.
yeah,
Therefore, say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace. Okay, so Phinehas uh, did his job, right? Executed
yeah,
the criminals, the traitors, and to protect the tabernacle and the Israelites. Therefore, so God is speaking to Moses. Therefore, say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace, and it shall be for him and his seed after him a covenant. There's a covenant of a perpetual priesthood.
yeah.
So basically, all the priests after this were descendants. I mean, he's still a descendant of Aaron, right? So Aaron,
Which was already
Eleazar,
given to them.
Phinehas. So but I think Eleazar had other sons or something.
Yeah,
So they're all going to be descendants of Phinehas after that, and that does last for quite a long time, because he was jealous for his God and made atonement. See, he made atonement for the
yeah,
sons of Israel.
yeah.
There you go.
Which is good.
Because he was faithful to the covenant. He was patriotic, you could say. That's just a word that came to me this week. Like, how come no one uses this word patriotic in a talking about covenant? I don't know. Maybe there's something wrong with it, but I come up with a lot
Well,
because I don't understand these religious words sometimes.
yeah. I think it's yeah, I don't know if there is a good word of what that means when you're strictly where you know your God and you follow him. It's, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe patriotic is good enough.
I mean, it's just, whatever. It's probably not the best word, but it's because
I
they
think,
make everything sound so religious, and
yeah,
then it's like,
yeah,
well, I like practical words, accurate,
right.
practical words, that like
Maybe a
simple
better word
words.
will come later on.
Yeah. Now the name of the slain man of Israel. Okay, now we're going to find out more about this situation. So the guy that
Mhm.
killed of Israel, that the guy that Phinehas killed,
Yeah,
who was slain with the Midianite woman, was Zimri, the son of Salu, a leader of a father's household among the Simeonites, one of the
yeah,
tribes.
yeah,
So Zimri was the son of a leader. So you could almost, I don't know if the word royal family is too much, probably, but an influential
yeah,
family.
right.
All right.
Which
So there were,
didn't God say to kill all the leaders of,
yeah.
yeah,
But this is Zimri, the guy that got speared
yeah,
was Zimri. Okay. Not just some random Israelite, but a kind of an influential guy. And the
yeah,
name of the Midianite woman who was struck down was Cosby, the daughter of Zur, who was head of the people of a father's household in Midian. So an influential Midianite family, right? The daughter. So
yeah.
these are kind of like high level people. So it's like they're making a political alliance as well,
Yes,
right? So
so
and they're trying to
seemingly,
corrupt the entire nation of Israel, actually.
right. So, okay, so just so I understand it. So the Israelite men were with Zimri or Zur of
One
different
man.
tribes.
Yeah,
Uh,
some Israelite men.
Yeah, we're with these two
24,000
women that
or
are not
whatever.
Israelites. They're not Israelites. Zimri and Zur, or
Yeah,
close to.
they worshipped Baal, and
Yeah,
they're remember at the beginning of the Balaam story, it was the Midianites and the Moabites who wanted to destroy Israel, right?
yeah,
So we have to curse them. So this is like, so that didn't work. So now they've deceived them,
yeah,
which we find out here, and they've deceived them with these women seduce them to go turn to Baal and and walk away from Yahweh, basically. So
yeah.
they're trying to destroy the nation of Israel, the entire nation of Israel. They're not trying to just deceive a few people.
No, I understand that part, but so the
This is a
judgment,
military camp. Yeah.
right? But I guess what I'm confused about. Okay, so Israelite men went after these high leaders of different non-Israelite
I would
groups.
say the other way around. The Midianite women went after the
Oh, they
Israelite
went after
men
Israelite
to
men.
seduce them.
Okay.
Yeah. Their daughters. They sent their hot daughters out to
Yeah.
deceive the Israelite men and to enter into a political and spiritual alliance,
Well,
which were always combined back then, always combined.
the only thing is then how can they execute a judgment on non-Israelites to kill their women? Because that's like declaring war. Well, how can they do that?
They're at war. This is a military campaign. So the Midianites, they're probably outnumbered or something. So they sent their hot daughters instead of sending an army out to the Israelites to defeat them in battle. They first try to curse them through the shaman, the Balaam, and then they send out their hot daughters to lure them into illicit cultic fertility cult sexual activity that resulted in them worshiping Baal and Asherah. Ba- Baal is always combined with Asherah throughout the whole Old Testament. Asherah is not mentioned here, but implied, in my opinion. But
All right. So they
so
were
let's read the
being
last part. You'll
seduced.
understand it more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But these are but this is only this two people they're talking about, but there's obviously
Yeah.
a lot more people involved, right?
Yeah.
Um, these are the two people that Phinehas killed. Right.
Yeah.
Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Be hostile to the Midianites and strike them," which we read about later, I believe, in chapter 31. They actually do get vengeance upon these people here because they're at war with them, basically. They're at war with everyone there, all the
Yeah.
Canaanites and these guys. Midianites, actually, that's where Moses used to live. His wife is a Midianite, so it's not like these people are intrinsically bad. We have to wipe them out. They're probably, normal human beings, but they're being hostile they're trying to destroy Israel right now at this particular
Yeah.
point. So, for they have been hostile to you with their deceptive tricks.
Yeah.
Right? The whole thing, deceptive tricks. Have we seen those? Do we still have deceptive tricks today?
Yeah, every
Yes,
day.
every day. Turn on the TV. The whole thing is a deceptive trick
Yeah.
with which they have deceived you in the affair of Peor and in the affair of Cosby, the daughter of the leader of Midian, their sister, who was slain on the day of the plague because of Peor. So
Who's PR?
Peor is that's Ball of Peor. Peor is the mountain. There's a place
Oh,
right
okay.
here. Sorry, it's kind of small. I don't know how to. Oh wait, I do know how to do that. Zoom in, but it zoomed out. That's interesting. Why is the negative? Why is it getting bigger? Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of weird. That's
Uh,
opposite. Um.
but I
Anyway,
see
there it
it.
is.
Yeah.
It's still small. It didn't change at all. Anyway, it's right here.
Yeah.
Peor. Here's Moab, right? And Ammon, the Ammonites. Not
Yeah.
sure who's here. There should be somebody there as well. Um, anyway, there's probably better maps out there. This is just the one I have. Anyway, so that's pretty any other there's a lot, this is basically the same thing's going on today. They're always trying to deceive us, seduce us. But yet the Israelites are punished for their own, we're supposed to, in a way, they're kind of allowed to deceive us or to try to deceive us. No one's stopping them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think deception is a test of your loyalty
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
because the truth is not that hard. I don't know why people think it is, but I
It's
mean,
not.
yeah. So
Uh,
if you're tested and you want something else, God said, all right, go.
I mean,
And
like now they're showing pictures of they're showing videos of airplanes and then saying that they're UFOs.
yeah, I think they're getting ready to announce something or someone. I mean, they're attacking at all levels, right? There is an agenda by something by 2030 that's already documented. All the corporations have already done it. It's in their
Well, yeah,
documents. So
okay. This is
we're
gonna go on
just,
YouTube, by the way.
yes. Yeah, so I
One
think
of the
all
corporations.
right. So the deception is only going to grow. And what is it doing? It's weeding out people. So like I'm not really following that UFO crap, but a lot of them are, right?
It is mass hysteria, right? Because
Yeah.
people are not logical. I was teaching critical thinking at university 2020, 2021 until until the end of 2021. And that while I was teaching that class, you know what was going on in the world at the time, right?
Yeah.
And I realized, people just are not capable of critical thinking.
Well, they don't want it. They want the
That was
deception.
was what a weird thing to be doing though. Like it was a great experience, like but I mean not many people were teaching critical thinking during the time where critical thinking was illegal and even not even possible for most people. Like the the
Yeah,
the least
well,
amount of critical thinking ever in humanity's history was happening in those 2 years.
yep. And what's the
So I'm
result
I'm
of
lucky.
that? They wanted somebody to tell them what to do. They want to follow.
It's a state of emergency. We don't
Yeah.
know what's going on. Are they drones? Are they planes? We don't know. Are they aliens? Government, please help us. Tell us what
It's
to do.
not that hard. Is it really that hard to think that there's actually UFOs suddenly appearing in all of their forms? It's stupid. It's I don't know.
But
But
it's
I'm
a great narrative
actually
for them. If I were the government and I wanted to enslave the population, I would do the alien narrative for
yeah, but
sure. Because then
to
you
do
just, oh,
what?
the aliens told us, you guys, we got to do this. All right,
But
we
then
have
they
no
got to
choice.
introduce that alien, don't they? I mean, what's going to happen?
Well,
They
not really.
play
Can be
alien?
behind the scenes. They can be behind the scenes. You ever
Oh,
seen the TV show Colony? They didn't show the aliens, really. Watch the TV show called Colony. That's exactly what's going to happen.
I don't know.
It's a great
That's
show.
crazy. Yeah, but how, I mean, I guess it's possible they followed the invisible enemy for 2020, so
I
why
mean,
not?
Elon Musk. Anyway, okay, we could talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that all
yeah.
day. Okay, so
One through
anyway,
six. 20, are we in
deceptive
26?
tricks. Just, I mean, there
Yeah.
it is right there in the Bible. Come on, anyone
Yep.
interested in deception? The Bible has a lot to say about that,
All
right?
right.
And the plague.
And the
Deception
plague.
results in plague. That's the book of
Yes.
Revelation right there.
Well, isn't that
Anyway,
kind of what 2020 was? Deception equals plague in a way. But the plague itself
a
was a
false sign and wonder, a false sign,
yeah.
false signs and wonders, not real signs and wonders, but false signs and
Yeah.
wonders, false plagues.
All
Yep.
right. 26. Oh my
Oh
God.
man, that was only one
Half
chapter
later.
and one chapter. The rest of them will go
Quickly.
faster.
Yeah, I think this
But
one. Well, I'm glad you're reading this one because this has got a ton of words in it that,
this is a long chapter, so I might just read this
yeah,
without
just
too
read it
much
because it's
commentary.
genealogy. Yeah, I don't think we need more.
It's really long. If I think of something to say, I'll say it, but otherwise we can just all right. Then it happened after the plague that Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saying, take a census. So it's kind of like Numbers chapter 1, right?
Yeah.
Of all the congregation of the sons of Israel from 20 years old and upward by their fathers' households, whoever is able to go out to war in Israel. Now, I will say, yeah, so a lot of people think the second generation story starts here.
Yeah.
But as we pointed out, it actually begins at chapter 20. And that's a key, like few people really realize that. And people may debate it as well. But anyway, that's what I believe, and that's what many scholars have
Yeah, I
realized.
think we covered it
Um,
before that
we did, but a lot of
first
people just simply don't
generation
know. I didn't used
died.
to know it. I didn't used
Yeah.
to know it. I didn't know. I was always confused. It's like, wait a minute, what happened? Like, what happened to the 40 years?
Yeah.
Where's the 40 years? They kind of skipped over it, actually. So,
Yeah,
um,
I guess they were living the life.
well, yeah. So Moses and Eleazar the priest spoke with them in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, which, by the way, is they're right here. There's the
Yeah.
Jordan. There's the plains of Moab right there.
Yeah.
And saying, take a census of the people from 20 years old and upward, and as Yahweh has commanded Moses. Now the sons of Israel who came out of the land of Egypt were Reuben. Okay, so these are kind of the tribes, I guess. Reuben, Israel's firstborn, the sons of Reuben, of Hanok, the family of the Hanokites, Palu, the family of the Paluites. So it's basically tribes and clans and
Hmm.
families. Like
Yeah.
there's very specific words they use to describe all these family
Well,
relationships and
God's
all these
keeping
things. So it's
track of all
serious.
the genealogy all the way
Yeah.
to Jesus. So,
And it ties into the land. So now
yeah,
what this census here is for, it's not really about creating another military unit necessarily. It's about
it's just taking,
division of the land. This is about who's about, they're talking about how to divide the land right now, actually.
yeah,
I think we're going to see that later. So this is about sorting everyone out in their families and clans and tribes so we know where to put them and what land will be theirs.
and numbers coming up. Seems pretty precise.
No. Reuben is okay. I did that of Hezron, the family of the Hezronites, Carmi, the family of the Carmites. These are the families of the Reubenites, and those who were numbered of them were 43,730. Now that's I think this is the only one. There might be one or two of them that have the tens unit, but they all do end with zero, by the way. But most of them end with two zeros. So there's
Yeah.
a way to explain that. Uh,
Well, you
but
can
that's the
ask
most
God
difficult.
later.
That's the most difficult part of my theory is the
Yeah.
tens unit. But they're just different units. 43 Aleph, 7 Mayot, and 3 of the tens unit.
All right.
Anyway, so it makes sense. And it was forgotten because the numbers changed dramatically after the book of Ezra, after the exile in Babylon.
Yeah.
So I think that it was forgotten even by the Israelites while
All
they were in
right.
exile. I have a whole theory that, well, yeah, look
I
out for the
know. I know.
thesis is coming.
Okay.
It's a book, a
43
series
Aleph.
of books. Then the son of Eliav,
Just call it Aleph.
B is a V, really. Eliav, Nemuel, and Dathan and Avriam. These are the Dathan and Avriam who were called upon by the congregation who contended against Moses. This was in the this and against Aaron and the congregation of Korah when they contended against Yahweh. These guys were mentioned before and they were killed.
They got swallowed up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and the earth opened up its mouth and swallowed them up. That's in a Bob Dylan song, by the way. Um, this exact phrase, along with Korah, when that congregation died, when the fire consumed 250 men, so that they became a warning.
I actually
All right,
think
we
that
we
would be
read
a
about
great
that.
movie. Cora,
No, this whole thing, yeah, Korah. Well, the whole thing, no, Joshua. In fact, I think we're going to see Joshua in this reading, maybe. I think so. And we can talk about the Joshua movie then.
yeah,
I got it all planned out.
that's good. We'll have to collaborate on that one then. So
The
the
sons of
sons of Cora didn't die.
No, that the actual sons of Korah did not die,
Yeah,
but a lot of the people associated with him did
yeah.
die. All of them did die. But apparently, the sons of Korah maybe didn't join in with him, his
Maybe
rebellion or
they were
something.
just too little and innocent or something.
Yeah, you do see his descendants throughout the Old Testament as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the sons didn't die. Sons of Simeon, that's the guy we just saw, a Simeonite. According to their families of Nemuel, the family of the Nemuelites of Yamin, and J is usually a Y, by the way. Yamin and the family of the Yaminites, and Yakin, the family of the Yakinites. Zerah, the family of the Zerahites, the Shaul, the family of the Shaulites. See, these are all families now, right? Not just
Yeah.
tribes, but families. These are the families of the Simeonites,
22,000.
22,200, 22 LF song, I got like five languages in my head now.
Or just
Two Mayot.
22,200.
Yep, that's one theory.
Yeah,
The
which is a
sons of
biblical theory.
God. according
Yeah.
to their families of Zephon, the family of the Zephonites, of Hagi, the family of the Haggites, of Shuni, the family of the Shunites. Why does my mouse do that? It's weird. Of Ozni, the family of Oznites, Iri, the family of the Irites,
But
Arod, the
the
family of the
Shunites
Arodites,
aren't, doesn't that sound Muslim? The Shunies? The Shunites?
Sunnis, and the Shiites. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, you never know. You never know. I don't know. You could, yeah, that's like very specific, detailed. Some people are into that, these genealogies, and they get it's really precise. It's really difficult to research all that, but
Well,
some people,
it's
I don't think I
kind
could do
of,
it.
yeah. Well, it is important because we are all some sort of tribe. So
Yeah,
split,
yeah,
like figure out where they all went and what
yeah. Well,
they
good
did.
luck with that. I'll let you do that. Family of the
Yeah,
Irites, of Arod, the family of the Arodites, Areli, the family of the Arelites. These are the families of the sons of God, according to those who were numbered of them, 40,500. The
yeah.
sons of Judah were Er and Onan, Onanism.
Oh yeah, I think we
But
talked about that word
Er and
before.
Onan, he came up somewhere else, or somebody, I don't know if it's the same guy or this guy, died in the land of Canaan. Uh-oh,
But I
these guys
forgot what it
died.
meant. I know it meant something bad.
We don't have, okay, some
Yeah.
people know it. People can write it in the comments. And the sons of Judah, according to their families, were Shelah, the family of the Shelonites, of Perez, the family of the Perizzites, and Zerah, the family of the Zerahites.
Okay, so the family of Perez, that goes into the book of Ruth later.
Yeah, I remember this name. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also she
Yeah.
was a Moabite in that region of
Yep.
Baal worship. So
Yeah.
that is the story. You know how they were killing women because they were in that region, not to be
Hmm.
corrupted? Like that was the command, don't get corrupted with those women in this story.
Oh,
And then yet Ruth followed the God and then she was grafted in.
hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
So
that
Ruth is not
rule
is
kind of
Ruth
changed.
is not an Ruth is not an Israelite. No, no, no. They were being punished. Yeah, the rule didn't change, but she had faith. She was loyal to
Yes,
Yahweh, right?
right.
She,
But
um,
I mean, the general rule was not to marry. So, like here, saying Israelite men do not marry
yeah.
the
Oh, I
Moabite.
see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
And part of the
Interesting.
punishment for Naomi's two sons and her husband, they all died. So I think that was judgment. Well, it did say the famine was judgment on Israel at the time. So they moved to Moab to escape the famine, but then the sons died and they were Israelites. So the Israelite men died, but yet they were left with Moabite women who Naomi had to take care of.
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to
Yeah.
Ruth, because that's very it's but that also that story of Ruth really talks about the land and the importance of land
Yeah.
as well. Like
Redemption.
family and land
And
or
yeah,
kind of go hand in hand, which is kind of what
right.
we're going to see, I think, in the next chapter as well.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I think I read that. And the
21.
sons of Perez were Hezron, the family of the Hezronites, of Hamul, the family of the Hamulites, and these are the families of Judah, according to those who were numbered of them, 76,500.
76,500. That's a huge number.
70, 76 dozen.
Yeah. Okay. The sons of
76 Eleph, the unit. It's a collective noun. The sons of Issachar, according to their families, of Tola, the families of the Tolaites, the Puvah, the family of the Punites, Yashub, the family of the Yashubites, of Shimron, the family of the Shimronites. These are the families of Issachar, according to those who were numbered of them, 64,300. But they do, by the way, lots of 2-0 endings for the most part. A couple
yeah.
exceptions, you know. I
Thank
don't
you.
know,
So
just
precise.
observing.
Yeah.
The sons of Zebulun, according to their families, of Sered, the family of the Seredites, of Elon,
Elon Musk.
the family of the Elonites, the Elonites.
Oh, we
Lots
know
of,
who the Elonites are now.
there's lots of Elon. I got to highlight that. There's lots
Yeah.
of Elonites. El On, right? El is God,
Yeah.
right? A
What does it
deity.
mean, you
El,
think?
El On. Well, I don't know what the On means, but El is God. Right?
Oh,
El always means God. That's a deity, just a general deity. Could refer to Yahweh, but it could refer to anybody.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, L, the E-L. That's why a lot of Israel, right? Israel,
Yeah.
E-L. Or the
So
L in the Stranger Things, the demon alien woman is called L. 11, but they really call her, she's really called L because she's an Elohim, a god, a fallen angel type
Elon
thing.
Musk has a tribe.
Elon Musk is an alien. He said he's an alien. He said it.
Maybe, because I mean, come on,
And
look
his
at
name
all
is
the stuff.
El. He's an Elohim. He's
Yeah.
an Elohim. That's what it means.
What if he says, I am God eventually? He could.
He's president. Look on the today in the headline news. It said Elon Musk is president.
Why? Why
He's
would
the
they say that?
I, I just said it. It's the narrative, you know. Elon is president. Elon's the alien. He's the transhumanist man, right?
Unless they're
Everyone
trying
believes
to prop him up for the next cycle as a
he's
president.
president already. It's Trump and Elon and the whole thing, man. The whole
Yeah.
thing. It's going to be
Which is
crazy.
strange. Isn't it not
The next
strange?
5 years are going to be completely insane science fiction movie
Yeah.
tribulation.
Well, I don't know about tribulation, but something
I do.
very, very significant. Like Rise of the Beast,
Game
Rise of the
changer.
Nephilims, Rise of supernatural things,
This will
probably a
make
lot of
20
discoveries.
people, it'll make 2020 look like nothing, you know.
I know.
But who knows? I don't know. We'll see. But don't
Yeah.
be afraid. So, these
Well,
are the
it's
families of
real
the
scary.
Zebulunites, according to those who were numbered of them, 60,500 or 60 Aleph and 5 Mayot.
What's that?
60
Wow.
Aleph and 5 Mayot.
Or just
Yeah.
60,500.
What is the
God
sons
knows
of
how to do
Joseph
now.
to their families, Manasseh and Ephraim.
Yeah.
So Joseph, well, there's a lot of, yeah, anyway, yeah, let's just keep going because I'm going to fade out probably.
Yeah.
I have I have some weird thing going on, but the sons of Manasseh of Machir, the family of the Machirites, and the Machir became the father of Gilead. There's a Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
Gilead, the family of the Gileadites. A theocracy. See, theocracies don't work, by the
Yeah.
way. Just watch The Handmaid's Tale. These are
Mhm.
the sons of Gilead, of Yezer, the family of the Yezerites, of Helek, the family of the Helekites, and of Asriel, the family of the Asrielites, and of Shechem, the family of the Shechemites, and of Shemida, the family of the Shemedites, and the Hefer, the family of the Heferites. And oh, now this one we're going to see later, I think. The Zelophehad, the son of Hefer, had no sons, but only daughters. So we're going to
Mhm.
read more about that. And the names of the daughters of Zelophehad were Mala, Noah, name of
Oh,
a
the girl
daughter,
name was Noah,
Hogla, Milcah, and Tisra. I guess so. Yeah, that's what it
with a
says.
neutral name.
Yeah. Kind of like Taylor.
Oh, yeah. Fits very well with today's times.
6 footer. These
Yeah.
are the families of Manasseh, and those who were numbered of them were 52,700.
52,700.
I struggle to say that in English. These are the sons of Ephraim, actually is what it is, Ephraim, according to their families, Shutah. See, there's no TH in Hebrew, so why do they do that? I don't know. Shetulah, the family of the Shetulahites, and Becher, the family of the Becherites, of Tahan, the family of the Tahanites. And these are the sons of Shutalah, of Aran, the family of the Aaronites. These are the families of sons of Ephraim, according to those who numbered of them, 32,500. These are the sons of Joseph, according to their families. All right. Now, these are important. Wasn't uh, Joshua, I think it's from Ephraim, actually. Um, I can confirm that later. Sons of Benjamin. So you have Judah. Caleb, I think, was from Judah, and Joshua's from Ephraim.
Mhm.
And it's kind of representative because Ephraim later on. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. The sons of Benjamin, according to their families, of Bela, the family of Belaites, Ashbel, the family of the Ashbelites, Ariham, the family of the Ahiramites. The names are getting harder.
That's why I
Shephufam,
was
the
so
family
glad
of
you were reading this today. No
Hephamites of
way.
Hufam, and it goes on forever.
I
Family of
know.
Hephamites, the sons of Bela were Ard and Naaman of Ard, the family of the Ardites, Naaman, the family of the Naamites. These are the sons of Benjamin, according to their families, and those who were numbered of them, 45,600. These are the sons of Dan, according to their families. Shuham, the family of the Shuhamites, the family of Dan, according to their families. These are the families of the Shuhamites, according to those who numbered them, 64,400.
64,400?
Again, 2 zeros at the end, almost every
Yeah,
time
we've already gotten 400,000 already.
in the English.
Uh-huh.
Sons of Asher, according to their families, of Imnah, the family of the Imnites, Ishvi. I'm getting like dizzy. Family of the Ishvites, the
Uh-uh.
Berai, the family of Berites, the
Well,
son
let
of
me
Beri,
finish it.
I'm like an auctioneer now.
Okay, let me finish it. 45. And the sons of Berada of Hebar, the family of Heberites, of Malachil, the family of Malachilites. And the name of daughter of Asher was Serah. These are the families of sons of Asher, according to those who were numbered of them, 53,400. The sons of Naphtali, according to their families of Jahaziel, the family of Jahazielites, of Guni, and the family of Gunites. Of Jezer, the family of Jezerites, of Shillim, and the family of Shillamites. These are the families of Naphtali according to their families, and those who were numbered them were 45,400. Those who were numbered of the sons of Israel were 600,001,
Hmm.
730. Then
Yep.
Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, among these, a land shall be divided for inheritance according to the number of names. To the larger group, you shall increase their inheritance, and to the smaller group, you shall diminish their inheritance.
Mm.
Each shall be given their inheritance according to those who were numbered of
All
them.
right. Sorry, I moved it around a bit. All right, so let's talk about this. Well, let's see here. How long did this go? Let's read up to this.
All right. But the
This.
land shall be divided by lot. They shall receive their inheritance according to the names of the tribes of their fathers. According to the selection by lot, their inheritance shall be divided between the larger and the smaller groups. And those who were
Yeah.
numbered of the, gotta go up, of the
Well,
Levi.
let's stop there.
Okay.
Just talk about. Look at how many times the word inheritance is used,
Yeah.
right? And then if you go to like, do I have it here? Galatians. Um, he talks about inheritance, adoption as sons and heirs, right?
Yeah.
So we're inheriting, and then basically it's like, why does Paul talking about Abraham and inheritance? So the sons of God, the sons were adopted into the family of God, where we inherit the land.
Yeah.
Hey, this is all about inheritance. So who owns the land? God owns the land,
Yeah.
and God gives the land by inheritance to people.
To his people in that region.
So it's all about dividing so this whole census here is about dividing the land.
According to the families
The
of their
number,
groups, which
the
was
number
good.
of names.
Yeah, he was giving them a place to
Yeah.
live, which in
Yeah.
the New Testament, even Jesus says, I will make a place for you. My Father has many mansions, right? So he's giving them in
Yeah.
real life, in real time, a place for them to dwell and grow their families. But for us, we're also given that inheritance, the future inheritance of dwelling with God, but he's also preparing a place for us. So
Yeah.
land
Yeah. So
and
this whole
inheritance.
concept of inheritance is very so those who are in if you belong to Christ, then you are Abraham's seed. Abraham's seed inherits the land.
Yeah.
It heirs according to promise. The promised land, right? The promise given to Abraham. So I think this is just not highlighted so much in Christianity these days. This whole meta narrative of inheriting the land, because everyone talks about, oh, I'm justified by faith, so therefore I can go to heaven. But really, it's more like I'm a seed of Abraham. I'm the seed of Abraham, and I will inherit the land. Is really
Yes,
what's going
and
on.
the heaven is only temporary until we actually have the land with the new heaven and new earth. There's
Yeah,
no like ethereal place where we're gonna hang out.
that's
And
actually comes from Plato. Actually, that's Greek Platonism. That's from Plato. That's Greek
say
philosophy.
what?
That there's some kind of ethereal heaven where
Oh,
everyone goes
yeah,
forever. So
which is false.
Plato, there's a lot of syncretism in Christianity as well, with Plato and Greek philosophy and Gnosticism,
Yeah,
and even certain types of idols, which I have some videos about these
but
days. But
don't people realize that we're coming back to Earth? We're gonna like dwell on
not
Earth,
many people realize that. No,
and then
some do, some
inheritance.
do. People who read the Bible do, but a lot of, yeah, I've heard it in pastors, and they talk about, oh, we have to spread the word of Jesus. We have to make Christians all over the world so everyone can go to heaven.
Yeah, heaven. There is no. I mean,
Well, temporary.
not in the
There
heaven
is a
like the
heaven.
way they use it.
There's a heaven. I think Christians do go to heaven after
You
they
do
die
until God
until the
fulfills.
resurrection.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that resurrection.
it's not the final goal. Inheriting the land is the final goal. So if you want to inherit the land, you have to be a seed of Abraham. And how do we do that? So that's what
I
Galatians is
see.
really all about. Who is the seed of Abraham? Not those who keep the Mosaic covenant. That doesn't make you a seed of Abraham, but those in Christ are Abraham's seed,
So it's
and
you
they
and
will inherit
I.
the land.
You and I are going to inherit the land that's back on Earth in after everybody's resurrected with a new body, new heaven, new earth. He's going to make a place for us because he's doing that right here, right? He's
So everyone will probably have their own little chunk of land
yeah.
or something. I don't know the details of
I
how it's going to
mean,
work, but
Earth doesn't have to be the same size. It could be billion times bigger. It doesn't matter. The point is,
well, yeah,
God is making a new place for us, just like he did. So in this Old Testament, he's showing a physical representation of his kingdom and how he divvied up the land, right?
yeah,
That small group, I mean, small territory, but in the grand scheme of things, since the Abraham seed is going to be numerous as the stars, then that means he's also making a place for all the numerous of the stars to dwell in eventually.
yeah. All right. Do you want to keep? We got this is a long chapter.
I
All
know.
right, let's finish off this chapter
All right, where we're right there.
57. Yeah.
And these were, and these are those who were numbered of the Levites according to their families of Gershon and the family of Gershonites, of Kohath and the family of Kohathites, of Merari and the family of Merarites. These are the families of Levi and the family of Libanites, the family of Hebronites and the family of Mahlites and the family of Mushites and the family of Korites. Kohath became the father of Amram. And the name of Amram's wife was, oh my gosh, Jochebed,
Jochebed.
Jochebed, the daughter of Levi, who was born to Levi in Egypt, and she bore to Amram, Aaron and Moses and their sister Miriam.
I'm going to highlight that.
She bore to Amram, Aaron. So she gave birth to Aaron, Moses, and their sister Miriam, Amram. Oh, all that time in the Egyptian story, I never knew her name.
Wait, the name of Amram's wife was Jochebed. That's the woman
Yeah.
here,
Okay,
daughter of
Zochebed.
Levi, born
Yeah.
to Levi in Egypt. She bore to Amram.
Okay,
Yeah. So this
Zochebed.
is the what? This is the that's Moses's mother,
Yeah,
and
but we
that's the
read that
father.
story in Exodus, and I didn't know her name. Zochebed.
I don't know if she's named or not before this. Maybe
I don't think
Exodus.
so.
Oh, it looks like Exodus 2:1. Maybe
Oh,
it might be mentioned. I forget.
all right. And to Aaron
Anyway,
were born Nadab and Abihu and Eleazar and Ithamar. But Nadab,
Who was two of these guys died, right, from the incense,
yeah,
unauthorized fire, the strange fire incident.
yeah,
Oh, here it is right here.
yeah.
It tells us if you just keep reading.
But, but Nadab and Abihu died when they offered strange
Strange fire. There it is.
fire before Yahweh, which we don't really know what that is, except
I saw lots of strange fire at the Buddhist temple. There's tons of incense all over the place.
oh yeah, it was their own mix of incense and perfume or whatever. And those who were numbered of them were 23,000, every male from a month old and upward, for they were not numbered among the sons of Israel, since no inheritance was given to them among the sons of Israel. Those who were numbered by Moses and Eleazar, the priest, who numbered the sons of Israel in the plains of Moab by Jordan at Jericho, but among them that were not a man of those who were numbered by Moses and Aaron, the priests, who numbered the sons of Israel in the wilderness of Sinai. Sinai. But Yahweh had said to them, they shall surely die in the wilderness, and not a man was left to them except Caleb the son of
Ah,
Jephunneh,
Jephunneh. Jephunneh.
Jephunneh,
Yefunah.
Jephunneh.
Remember the J is a Y. J is a modern invention.
Yep, Jephunneh. And Joshua, the sons of Nun.
Noon. Yeah, there you go. So this is interesting. I love this how so now these were what, the Levites,
Yeah,
basically. The families of Levi. And yeah, see, they don't really inherit the land. They're kind of spread out because their job is to be the priestly type
yeah,
people. And now it is interesting here. See, that's why I don't know if there must have been a movie about Joshua at some point. I don't know, but that's why
I'm
we need a
sure.
blockbuster, high budget movie about Joshua because it's
Well,
so cool. No, just think because there's been movies about Moses and they usually end at the Exodus. But what happened next, right? That's what we're reading about now is what happened next. And Joshua, imagine a movie, all right? Let me pitch the movie to you. All right,
well,
elevator pitch, elevator pitch.
well, you need to bring in the millions of dollars that would take to do
No,
Joshua.
no, don't worry about that. The pitch. If you do the pitch,
Oh,
you get the money with the pitch. All right,
well,
so
that's easy. Just write the
ele,
script.
elevator pitch. No, but it's all about the elevator
All right,
pitch. No one
you
has time
do
to read
the.
scripts. Elevator pitch. All right.
All right, what's
A
the
young
elevator?
man, a young
Mhm.
man, 20 years old, whatever, 21, 22 years old, young man. He's kind of the assistant of Moses. So it
Yeah.
starts out, we first hear of Joshua, he's going up Mount Sinai. He's the assistant to Moses. He actually went up like halfway up to Mount
Are
Sinai.
you gonna
All
play
kinds of
Moses?
and so you're seeing all this stuff through the eyes of Joshua, right?
Yeah.
Not through the eyes of Moses. And Moses is in the movie, but he's
Yeah.
one of the characters. And Joshua is the young man, a coming of age story to become a leader. He's some like awkward teenager right now, but he's in his early 20s. But and then he sees all the stuff we've been reading about. He sees the golden calf incident. He was
Yeah.
there. He sees the amazing 12 tribes being organized into these huge armies around the tabernacle, right?
Does
What a
he know
scene
to
that would
strike the
be.
rock?
Epic scene right there.
I think you should play Moses, and then we'll have to
Yeah, yeah,
the younger
yeah.
younger guy to play
No,
Josh.
no, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. Well, you could fill in for Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe, and then the guy from
Strike that rock.
Dune. The guy from Dune is Joshua.
Oh yeah. Well, only
Anyway,
like a couple of $1 million, and
no, this is a big budget movie. And then just think of
$3 million.
all the wars and all the battles and all the amazing things. The talking donkey
Wow.
is in there. But the whole thing is Josh, and then the book of Josh. So it's basically halfway, starts at the begin, either halfway through Exodus, or it could even start at the book of Numbers. Book of Numbers, if there's any kind of action in Deuteronomy, that's more like speeches for the most
Are
part.
you
And
gonna
then
direct it?
Joshua. No, I'll write the script.
Oh,
Joshua. Then the book of Joshua. There's just so much action, so much drama.
yeah.
It's violent, and there's probably get thrown a love story.
I feel
You
like
got
that's going to take billions of dollars to do make
no,
a
no, no. It's a high
action
budget,
movie.
big budget movie, and it's Numbers 25. The
Yeah.
whoring after the daughters of,
But I really
people
want
love
to
that kind of
fit Korah's scene in there with this.
Korah or Book of Numbers needs to be in a movie.
I
All
know
kinds of weird
it
stuff going
does.
on. It
I would
does.
love
That's
to
what
do
I'm
a book of
saying.
numbers.
The money's out there. There's rich
Well,
people
they're
out there
not
with
over
all this
here.
money. They have all this money. They don't know what to do with it, and they invest in movies. There's people who are just waiting for a good idea, a good script.
You
They're just
write the
waiting.
script. You
They're
write the
just
script.
waiting.
All right, we'll do that numbers movie then. It's going to take
But
at least
it
$50
has to be
million.
high
dollars.
budget because there's so much. This is a big epic movie. It has to be somewhat high budget
50
because there's
million.
so much epic things happening in in
Yeah,
this
can you
story.
imagine the location, the special effects, the
And Joshua is a typology of Jesus. They basically have the same
yeah.
name, right? So you kind of throw that in there. The thematically, you're throwing that in there.
So you have to find very
Amazing.
special 20-year-old to play that role.
Well, they can be 30 because they all look kind of young, but
I don't know. I spoke
one
to
of these new up and
20-year-olds and
coming
they said
guys, I don't know. I don't know who they are. What you're a kind of a Hollywood insider now, aren't you?
no. Definitely not an insider or anything. I'm still trying to put this movie out there and people say, okay, yeah, this was good. I'll let you do another one. But I like
That's
the
what I'm
idea
saying.
of doing,
You got a resume now. You're a filmmaker.
yeah,
You're an established filmmaker.
I
I'm
am,
just pitching the
but not a
idea. I
movie
don't have
maker.
any script yet or anything, but now
Well,
Joshua, see
that
the
I can
problem is
write with you because I write really fast. So you come up with your bones or
Joshua doesn't actually get a lot of time. Like he doesn't talk a whole lot, I don't think. But there's still the whole book of Joshua, which is a lot of
but I'm
battles and
very
drama.
visual. So I could take your script, make it very visual.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, Joshua is the hero, the forgotten hero of the Old Testament. He needs more airtime. We've forgotten about Joshua.
If
And
somebody
Caleb will be
wants to
there too.
land millions of dollars to make this, no problem. Because
Oh,
I
it's
can
at least
hire a lot
100,
of
200.
people.
This is an epic. This is a high budget summer
Who's going to give
blockbuster.
me $100 million to make anything?
You don't
Nobody.
have to make it. No, I'm just pitching the idea. You get
Oh,
like people, you get high budget filmmakers to kind of make. I mean,
oh,
you'll
then you
be
don't need
involved.
me.
You can be
Yeah.
involved. I'll be involved, but there will be a lot of people involved.
Yeah. Well, go pitch your idea then. And
That's a great. I mean, why hasn't anyone done this yet?
well, you'll do it.
I'm saying Joshua is
Okay.
the lost hero of the Bible,
Yeah.
typology of Jesus. So
All
many
right.
interesting things happening in his lifetime that he's seeing. And he's also a hero. He's a coming of age story who becomes the next leader. That's a story we like. See, Moses himself, Moses doesn't really make a great movie,
Well,
really.
in the old, like the Ten Commandments, I mean, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
But
but they always
I think
end.
in this day and age, having a Joshua story would be really relevant anyway.
Yeah,
It'll appeal to younger people that need to come to God. So you need to find a hero that's in their age group that will do what God says to do. So I think it's a good idea to make that story. You have to write.
Joshua's patriotic. That's what I'm saying. The Patriots, Joshua and Caleb, the only two guys who entered the land from the entire first generation.
Yeah.
The only two patriotic Israelites.
So
That's what
then
I'm
you need
saying.
those two strong characters to play the roles, Joshua and Caleb.
They're out there. There's people, there's actors out there. You know what I mean?
Did they have a
There's
love
people who,
interest or no?
I don't think these two guys do, but you had the chapter 25. You got the Midianite whores.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're not whoring with them, so.
There's no, in the book of Joshua you got that another whore, another prostitute, but she's a good one. What's her name? The one who helps them
Oh,
with
I
the
know.
Jericho and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I know who it
We're,
is.
we're not in Joshua. We're not even in the book called Joshua yet. See, everyone's gonna think, oh, the movie called Joshua must be about the book of Joshua. No, it starts earlier than that.
Yeah.
Joshua's been around since the book of Exodus. So you could start it either way, but see, usually these Exodus type movies end at the actual Exodus and you don't hear the rest of the story. It's almost more
Yeah, well,
interesting
you're
after
writing
that.
it, so write what you want.
So I don't know if maybe just leave out the whole Exodus event itself. Start after that because that's been done already. We've seen it.
You can't
We've
do
seen it.
like too many big scenes. You got to start with a story where they're approachable and then
Yeah,
build
yeah,
up
yeah.
to that story.
Maybe the climax would be the destruction of. Maybe the climax is when they finally enter the land itself.
Yeah, at the
But
very end, they finally, you can look
well,
out.
not that. No, no, no. It's got to be like the battle, a final battle. Could be the Jericho thing or whatever, you know. But
Well,
yeah,
I like the Korah story, so you
giants.
have to
And
include that.
and he was no, no. You start out when he's a spy. He's the spy, right? He was one of the spies in the land. What did he see? Giants. That would be so cool.
All right, well, write it out.
Oh man, this is. I'm telling you, man, this is it.
So what do I get to do with that movie since it's going to cost
I don't know.
$100?
Don't you see? Don't. I don't know. I'm. This is just an idea in my head right now.
All right,
I'm
well,
not even a
let me
filmmaker,
know.
but I do make videos.
But you can be a filmmaker.
I'm a writer. I can write, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
write the
Although
story.
writing scripts is different than writing prose. There's,
Yeah.
as you know, but
Well, you write this. I know what the script has to be because it has to be broken down. So I know, like,
scenes,
you
yeah,
write the
different scenes.
story and then
Yeah.
I will put it in the format, break it down.
It's all different scenes, right? That
Yeah, it
mean
has to be scene
something.
by scene. So you gotta
Yeah, I get it. I get that.
visualize it. You have to visualize it first in that scene and write out that scene and then move on. So every time you gotta imagine like the camera has to change every time you do something different.
Mm.
So you have to write it out in a way to be almost like a cameraman, not necessarily a writer.
Do you have in the script itself, do you have to write the what the camera's doing, or do you just they figure that out later?
No, there's certain, I'll actually just send you my script.
I
So
know there's like fade to black and all that kind of stuff,
yeah,
and
those are minor things. It's really just by scene what you're trying to capture. So you have the
yeah.
dialogue, and then you can put little taglines like locations of what it's supposed to be or how. So like whatever you want to visualize, you can do that. So that story really has to be storyboarded, and that's when you get to see the movie. So I did the storyboard for the entire film, and that's what I
How
used.
how'd you do that? How do you do the you did animation?
No, I used
Like
AI images actually. I can show you. You want to see?
well, but no, 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 not right now. We're getting off topic
All
here, by
right.
the way. We're
Well, I
still
think
doing
we
a
should quit
podcast.
right here
No,
because,
no, 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 no.
oh, you're gonna
No.
continue?
This chat because we got to do three every time.
I know, but I thought you weren't feeling well. So, all right, let's
I'm not.
end it
I'm
then.
not, but I never feel well.
All
And
right.
this is a short chapter.
Okay, let's
And I
finish.
can read
I'll
I'll
read it.
try to
Want me to
read.
read it? I'll read it.
Yeah,
Want me
okay,
to
you
read it?
better read it. Yeah.
All right. Then the daughters of Zelophehad. I hate these names. What is that name?
Zelophehad.
Zelophehad? The son of Hefer, and the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, the families of Manasseh, the son of Joseph came near. These are the names of the daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Haglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. And they stood before Moses and before Eleazar the priest and before the leaders of all the congregation at the doorway of the tent of meeting, saying, Our father died in the wilderness, yet he was not among the congregation of those who gathered themselves together against Yahweh in the congregation of Korah, but he died in his own sin, and he had no sons.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Our father died in the wilderness. Yeah.
Which father are
No
they talking
sons.
about?
Their father. This guy. Zelophehad is the daughter.
Oh, okay.
Zelophehad's the father. He didn't have any
Oh, he
sons.
didn't have any sons, only daughters. Okay.
So how can they inherit the land? That's the thing is that the issue is that he's going to kind of vanish from history. There's no land for these daughters. These daughters can't get any land because the father died and they don't have an inheritance right now, the way that's set up. So
All
anyway,
right. Why should the name of the father be withdrawn from among his family because he had no son? Give us possession among our father's brothers. So Moses brought their case near before Yahweh, and then Yahweh spoke to me, Moses, saying, "The daughters of Zelophehad are right in their statements. You shall surely give them a possession of their inheritance among their father's brothers, and you shall have an inheritance of their fathers pass on to them."
Okay, so wait, let's stop. So the name of our father will be withdrawn. The name, it's kind of like a title deed of the land, I think, is what this implies here. Like the piece of paper that says, yeah, you own this land, but they're
Well, the
the
name,
fathers
yes.
did.
Right. It's
Because
always through their names.
if he had a
The rent.
son, the son would inherit the land. It would be no
Yeah.
problem. But the father's name is kind of vanished because he has no son.
This kind of paragraph actually wants to make me cry
Why?
because uh, in Indian culture, they don't like to give any inheritance to the daughters.
Hmm.
Um, and so, like, even if you have a ton of sons and maybe one daughter, they always contemplate like giving anything to her. But in this
Yeah.
one, God is saying she is right in her statements. She deserves
Yeah.
the inheritance. So that's kind of cool.
And it's
Because,
also for the purpose of keeping the name of the father alive as well, though. Keeping that kind
yes,
of that family name in the land, and they have possession. See, a possession for an inheritance. This is land possession.
yes, but God finally made it, He put it in the Bible that He made
Yeah.
it equal for both sons
Yeah.
and daughters, which is really important. Of course, if they
Yeah.
had a son, they might have just gone to them without even going.
Yeah.
But the son then would have had to take care of all the daughters. So,
But at
like,
least that family name would still be around
yeah,
as well. And with land. See, you have to have the
you need
land. The
land.
land is so
Right.
important. The land is part of the deal. Land.
Yeah, but that land is also productive and it not only houses them, but it takes care of the family, right? So let's
And
say they had one son and all these daughters, and it would have gone to the son. The son, by virtue of having that inheritance, is taking care of the whole clan. It's not like, okay, I get the land, the daughters are screwed because you're a girl, right? So this is really providing for each of the household, the family, the tribe. If the son is alive, he gets it, but then he passes it on to the whole tribe, to taking care of them. But if he's not alive and there's only daughters, God is saying, okay, you have your possession, which is great. So,
yeah, and that's why like the land is the part of the meta narrative is that as in Christ we are sons of God and we will inherit the land. We will inherit, the earth, right? The new heavens and the new earth. It's really all about because God promised Abraham a land, a nation, kingdom of God, right? So this
yes, and
inheritance
he changed.
idea is so important that we kind of no one talks about. You know how many times this word is used.
Well, yeah, this is super important, and it's also how God thinks of providing for the people, uh,
And you
without
don't
getting
inherit the
distracted
land.
on
That's
culture.
what and that's what Galatians 3 is all about is you don't inherit the land by through the Mosaic covenant. You inherit the land in Christ through the Spirit, through faith, which is kind of like loyalty, patriotism, you
Yeah,
know.
but even in the spiritual analogy of Christ, he's also saying there's no difference between Jew, Gentile, men, women. They all equally inherit through Christ. This is kind
Yeah,
of
there's no distinction. Yeah.
yeah. So God just put that in writing, saying there's no distinction.
And this here, it's this is Abraham to the land which I will show you, and I will make you a great goy. This is like goyim, which is plural. This
Mhm.
is goy for nation. I will make you a great nation.
Yeah.
I will make your name great, right?
Mhm.
And then all the families, there's family, right? All the families of the
Of the
earth
earth.
will be blessed.
Yeah. So there's no exclusion anymore. It's all the families of the earth, which means the
There's
future promise of all the believers that are going to inherit the earth.
That's why we have to be a seed of Abraham.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, that's why Paul talks about this so much child and a slave under guardians, right? And then you're enslaved to basically to idolatry, the idols, the demons, and
Yeah, I mean, the John 3:16 offers that promise.
adoption as sons, right there, right?
So he's
Um,
saying, I will give you the kingdom, your inheritance, if you belong in my kingdom. Those who's accepted by faith get that inheritance. And those that don't, they forfeit that right. That's why the other story of Esau and Jacob, where he sold his birthright for a bowl of soup. Essentially, people are selling their birthrights through the inheritance that's already there by not choosing God.
hey, look at this. Behold, I, Paul, say to you that if you receive circumcision, Christ will be of no benefit to you.
Yeah.
Gee. So anyway, so yeah, it's not circumcision doesn't make you because you know you're not declared you're not in the family of God. You're not a son of God. You will not receive this inheritance just because you get circumcised or they put on a tassel. You
Well,
know,
it's no longer physical acts, but spiritual.
well, it's
Uh,
faith. Yeah,
yeah.
what we call faith, and then what does that mean is the question. But anyway, I'm
Following
I'm
God.
I'm going to pass out. So let's
All right,
let's
okay,
where's the thing? Where are we?
I don't know. Oh, the
Probably
to his
probably eight,
daughter.
eight,
Yeah.
eight,
Okay.
eight. Let's start at eight again.
All right. Further, you shall speak to the sons of Israel, saying, if a man dies and had no son, then you shall have an inheritance pass on to his daughter. And if he has no daughter, then you shall give his inheritance to his brothers. And if he has no brothers, then you shall give it to the inheritance of his father's brothers. And if his father has no brothers, then you shall give it inheritance to the blood relative of his own family, and he shall possess it. And it shall be statutory judgment for the sons of Israel. Uh, where are we?
Just as Yahweh commanded Moses. A statutory judgment. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Statutory judgment
Yeah, yeah.
for the
The
sons of
sons of Israel.
Israel, just as Yahweh commanded Moses. Then Yahweh said to Moses, go up to this mountain of Abram, and see the land which I have given to the sons of Israel. So when you have seen it, you too will be gathered to your people as Aaron your brother was. And for the wilderness of Zin, during the strife of the congregation, you rebelled against my command to treat me as holy before their eyes at the water. These are the waters of Meribah of Kadesh in the wilderness of the Zin.
So this is some statutory judgment. What does that mean legally? Statutory judgment.
Well, that means
Statutes.
he codified it as a statutory law. Like, actually, a lot of these inheritance rights, they do follow today of how they divvy out estates without a will. They'll go to the next of kin. I mean, they kind of follow
Mm.
basically this model. So, and they codify it into law, which is what is saying that this is law now. That this is how you're going to divvy up the land. If there's no heirs in the right order, if they all die, they'll keep following the next of kin, the chain, and that's exactly how they do it today too. Until the very end, if there's no next of kin, then it gets forfeited to the state, right? But they keep hunting for that next of kin.
Mm. And they take taxes.
Yeah.
So this here that means Moses is going to go to the top of this mountain and then die right after he sees the land.
Oh, oh yeah, because he's not allowed to enter.
Gather to your people is basically it seems to be some kind of euphemism for dying.
Yeah.
Um, and then you could talk all day long about where Moses is going to go after this, after he dies, but I don't have
Well,
time.
Abraham bosoms for not right now, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So when
And
you have seen it, it will be gathered to your people as Aaron, your brother, was. For in the
no, we
wilderness.
read this. You read this
Oh,
already.
okay. All right.
Anyway, but yeah, so Moses is about to die. He's not going to the land because he rebelled. Remember Moses called the Israelites rebels, but now
Yeah.
God is saying, Moses, actually you rebelled.
Yeah. You're rebelling
So
against my command to
I mean,
choose
it's so
me and
sad.
bully.
I mean, see, that's another scene in the movie, by the way, but it's so tragic in so many ways. Like Moses, the leader for so long,
Yeah.
he himself could not even enter the land.
Which is kind of
Wow.
scary, don't you think? That you can mess up,
Well, he's still like part. He's not kicked out of covenant. He's just being
but he doesn't
punished.
get
I
to
don't think
enter.
it doesn't mean he's not part of the kingdom anymore. I don't
Well,
think, you know.
yeah, I mean, he's still part of the kingdom, but his life was going to be over.
Well, it could be that he has to pass it on as well. Like, okay, that's Moses had his story. He played his role. Now it's time for Joshua,
Right.
you know. And it's a kind of a different, now it's the second generation. It's a different type of it's the next stage of the story.
I think
And
you should
now
start
they
the
need a
story
new leader.
right where Moses dies and has to,
No,
right
no,
at that.
no,
Oh, no, why?
no, no.
All right.
Because it has to be the story of a man becoming a leader. He's not leader yet. He's maybe a little bit unsure, just like Moses didn't really want to be a leader.
Yeah.
In my opinion, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's,
Well, you're
there could
writing
be
it.
you got to keep it under 2 hours. So there's so much stuff. Anyway,
Yeah,
so now, so here's Joshua again. So we could have maybe talked about the Joshua movie here, but
yeah.
either way, Joshua's starting to, and he will be, he becomes the leader really in the book of Joshua. Moses is still around throughout the whole book of Deuteronomy, but
Well, that's what I was saying. If you start the movie right where God says,
no,
no, all right.
no, because we got to see him when he's not leader yet. We got to
All
see him
right.
becoming a leader. It could be,
Okay.
it's got to be a trilogy. You got to have the trilogy.
Apparently, it's going to
You can't just make
require
one
400
movie.
million.
You
All
can't just make one movie. It's got to be a trilogy.
Well, then you better start on that first trilogy of 400 million. All right. Then Moses spoke to Yahweh, saying, May Yahweh, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation who will go out and come in before them, and who will lead them, and who will bring them in. So the congregation of Yahweh will not be like sheep which have no shepherd. So Yahweh said to Moses, Take Joshua the son of Nun and a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand on him.
You know, what's interesting is Caleb is said to have had the Spirit,
Yeah,
and Joshua also, and Moses. But the only two guys who entered the Promised Land had the Spirit.
yeah,
Every one of them kept the food laws. They had the tassels. They kept the Sabbath. That didn't get them into the Promised Land.
yeah.
I'm just pointing out,
Yeah, the
I'm
Holy
just making
Spirit, God, the
observations.
Spirit of
What
God.
does that mean? What does that mean? But these guys had the Spirit. Joshua and
Well,
Caleb had the Spirit. They entered the Promised Land. What a coincidence.
yes, but they were faithful. I think
They were
that's why they
faithful. They
had the
had faith.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They were chosen, maybe. They were chosen
I
by
think
God
definitely
well,
chosen.
how do you get the Spirit? You don't just take the Spirit. God has to pour the Spirit out on you. You can't
Yeah,
you can't
but
just you can't just get the Spirit yourself. God has to put it in you.
he does. But I think he knew they were going to be obedient to get the Spirit and not reject. Like,
But everyone was obedient. They all kept the Torah.
no,
They
I
didn't
mean,
eat
they were
pork.
learning. Because these are special people that he's raising to
They
be
all didn't have the
leaders.
Spirit.
Yeah.
They all didn't have the
So
Spirit.
then why
So
did these?
the law was kind of like a guardrail just to try to rein in their sin a little bit. But
Well,
it
why
didn't
were they
really
given the
work.
Spirit? Maybe that's the question you should ask.
You,
Why were they given the Spirit?
somebody had to enter the promised land. Joshua had to lead them.
Yeah,
He's
but
the
what
shepherd.
makes them so special to get the Spirit and
God
lead
chose
them?
them. That's what makes them special. They're just regular guys. God chose them. It's the Spirit. It's the chicken and egg, right? It's like what made them loyal to God. Why didn't they rebel when all these other guys rebelled? All the 12 spies entered the land. Only Joshua and Caleb were faithful to the promise of the land.
But
The
if
other
God
guys
had
slandered the
given
land.
everybody, if God had given everybody spirit, the Holy Spirit, right there and then, of all the 2 million plus people, they all could have obeyed. So
Yeah,
what
you're
made
right.
them different?
Because Jesus had to die on the cross, and Jesus ascended to heaven, and then he poured out the Holy Spirit
Yes, but that's
on a lot more, in a lot more,
in a
on a
different
lot more
way.
people.
Yeah.
Well,
But
more powerful way.
why couldn't God have demonstrated the same thing without Jesus having to die and give everybody the spirit of who he chose back then? So something had to be different. It can't be the same thing.
Well, see, I'm like losing. It's like
All
we
right,
can
let's
talk about it
finish.
next week. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
losing
yeah.
my
All right.
power.
Should we
I
just
don't.
quit here?
No, 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 no. I
All
just.
right.
You just asked a
Okay,
deep
I won't
question.
ask you
I
until.
can't answer that question right now because I'm
All
like
right.
fading out. But
Okay.
it's a good question,
All right. Put a note on it. And
and
have
we only have a few more verses to go.
Okay, good. And have him stand before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation and commission him in their sight. And you shall put on some of your splendor on him, and in order that all the congregation of the sons of Israel may obey him. Moreover, he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire for him by the judgment of the Urim before Yahweh.
Urim, Urim,
Urim,
Urim.
Urim.
That's the
Before.
thing. The little stones and the
Oh
Urim and
yeah,
the Thummim.
yeah.
Thummim. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, okay. That's good to point out because I didn't know that. Urim before Yahweh, and his command that they shall go out, and his command they shall come in, and both he and his sons of Israel with him, even all the congregation. So Moses did just as Yahweh commanded him, and took Joshua and had him stand before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. And then he laid his hands on him and commissioned him just as Yahweh had spoken by the hand of Moses.
Yeah. So that's the end of the chapter there.
Oh, so what
Um,
did we get out of that chapter? Rising of Joshua?
yeah. Joshua Rising.
Okay.
Yeah. He's officially the next leader. You know, there's kind of this little ceremony thing. The priest is involved in this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, really, God chose Joshua.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess God knew Israel would need a new leader, so that's probably why the Spirit was on Joshua. Um, and he's kind of like the new Moses, you know. He is kind of maybe not as you know, not the same exactly, but he does go on to kind of be like the leader and more of a military commander. There's a lot more military things in the book of Joshua itself.
All right.
Um, so they could just at his command. Now, whose command? This is interesting here. He shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall inquire for him by the judgment of the Urim before Yahweh. So let's think of Joshua as he's the leader, but he's also kind of a military commander, but yet he has to obey the priest who obeys Yahweh, right?
Yeah, that makes sense because the
And
priest,
they're gonna yeah, and they're gonna use this little thing to ask God a question: should we go to battle or not? And then the
yeah.
stones will light up and stuff. Um,
So no technology for a cell phone, just these
at,
little light up thingies.
yeah, at his command, the priest's command.
Yeah.
Unless this is talking about it is ultimately Yahweh's command, but through the
But
priest.
it's the his is not capitalized, so it's got to be
Ah, there you go. Yeah, yeah. So, but
Elzar.
there is a chain of command, right?
Yeah,
Yahweh, priest, Joshua, and then
right.
the people.
Yeah,
So, in coming in and going out means going out to war.
right.
Um, and then, and this laying of hands is kind of interesting, right?
Yeah,
But Joshua already had the Spirit, by the way, before
yeah.
this. So the Spirit's he's not laying hands to giving them the Spirit necessarily.
Well,
It's like a off it's like we do today, right? It's a little ceremony. You're now you're in charge,
yeah.
you know, like this. Yeah. got
And
a
also the
promotion.
Spirit of God, when God puts it upon, I mean, like John the Baptist, he had the Spirit in the womb.
Ah,
So at
yeah.
any point, God can give you Spirit, but they're usually chosen for a specific purpose to carry out. So the Spirit kind of helps them fulfill their destiny. So maybe that's one of the reasons why they were given the Spirit, because they already had a destiny to get to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. God actually is almost more in control of them
Yeah,
in a way, because God is going to use them for a purpose. Like he belongs to God now through
yeah.
the Spirit, and he's Joshua especially. Caleb we don't hear so much about, you know, um, but Joshua and Caleb.
But there are
Yeah,
a lot
Joshua.
of interesting questions about the Spirit. Well, we can talk about next
Well,
time.
unless you have comments you want to say about it,
I
you
don't, I
know.
mean, there's more questions and comments because, like, is this predestined? Like, what about the free will? What happened to that?
Well, no, I wouldn't talk about that. I would say, why. I mean, the book of Galatians really does kind of explain all these answers to these questions, because God wants one family, right?
Yeah,
But right now, the Israelites are separated from the other people in the world through their Torah, through their
yeah,
law. That's to separate them from others. But after Christ, after the cross, after the Spirit's been poured out, now you have two families. You have the Israelites or the Jews, at that point, I guess. But then you have the Israelites and you have the Jews and then you have the Gentiles. But now the Spirit's on both people. So are you going to have two families or one? You're supposed to have one family in
yeah.
God, one seed of Abraham. That's what he says. He says there's
But
one
that's
seed of
like,
Abraham, not two, not the Jewish Christians and the Gentile Christians. There's not two families. There's one seed of Abraham, one family who inherits the land. One family, not two.
yep, I understand that part. Is more like if Joshua and Caleb were given the Spirit, this essentially, I'm assuming, is like the Holy Spirit of God early on through their whole life, then, and they were also chosen and they had a purpose. So is it the Spirit that helped them obey their free will, or is it because they already,
Well, I'm not a huge free will determinism kind of guy.
yeah,
That's like a whole show in and of itself, and
all
it's not
right.
so much about that. Right here, they received the Spirit. Did you receive the Spirit by works of the law or by hearing with faith? And that's how Abraham.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't say Abraham received the Spirit necessarily. Maybe it does, but
Well,
um,
Abraham was credited
he
righteousness
was
because he
justified.
believed
Yeah,
God. Yeah,
he was declared to be righteous. He was justified, so he
right.
must have had the Spirit through faith,
So
not by
according
observing
to
the law.
this, then it's kind of saying that
Yeah.
because they probably followed and believed God, they were credited righteousness and they received the Spirit.
Those who are of faith, these are the sons of Abraham, and the sons of Abraham will inherit the land. So
Yeah.
there's not two family, and you can't see the whole point of Galatians is that there's not two groups of people, there's one.
Yeah.
All of the nations will
Everybody
be
is
blessed
by
in you.
faith, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the law, they're under a curse. Cursed is in it because everyone broke the law. So law, he's not saying the law is bad. He's saying the law was temporary. It was a
It is
temporary
one thing. Yeah.
until the seed would come. So the seed, Jesus was the seed, the Messiah. Christ means Messiah,
Yeah.
Christos in Greek, until the Messiah, the seed, would come to whom the promise has been made. And in the Messiah comes the kingdom, which
Yeah.
includes land and people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of deep. It's like profound and misunderstood. But it's this
Yeah.
part, I think Galatians 3 is really um, all about this. You know,
It'll take 100 years to get there.
Everyone, yeah, the scripture shall shut up everyone under sin so that the promise by faith in Christ might be given to those who believe. Right. So, you know, Anyway, oh, look at this. Neither Jew nor Greek,
Hmm.
right? If you belong to Christ, you are Abraham's seed. One family, Abraham's family. Think of
Yeah.
seed as family,
Yeah.
descendant,
So,
heir, inheritance of the promise.
yeah, so that's pretty much says it right there, right? That
Uh,
you are Abraham's seed by faith.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
And
think we
so,
need anything else.
Joshua and Caleb had the Spirit on them, so they're Abraham's
Because of
seed.
faith. I think because
They're
they
Abraham's seed.
yeah. So maybe not everybody received the Spirit because they were disobedient, right?
Well, it just wasn't the plan yet at that time. It wasn't the plan. Remember that verse we saw in Numbers, or I think it was Moses. Or somebody said, "Hey, it would be great if everyone got the Spirit. That's
Yeah.
what we need, right?" It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, good
but
idea.
yeah,
That
but
comes 1,000 years later.
right. But these guys, they got it right away. So
Yeah, they had the Spirit. It doesn't say they kept the law better than anyone else.
no.
They had longer tassels than everyone else. No, no, no. That's nothing.
I need
So,
to buy tassels.
remember the no, you don't need the tassels.
I was kidding. All
Okay.
right.
So
Uh,
anyway, so next week is
uh,
next week next 28, 30, probably not a whole lot of action, I don't think. But 31, there's a lot of action again.
yeah.
But that's why groups of three really work well for this
Yeah,
book.
I noticed that even when because I think there's like 36 chapters or something, but
Yeah,
so it really did fit exactly three to get it done. Um,
yeah.
so 28, 29, 30. So we're not even going to hit 31.
And
Uh,
even now, it's like there's always like a rebellion in the first chapter, and then
yeah.
a plague, and then there's a kind of
You
a
know,
kind of
it's kind of,
a kind of repentance, and then something
yeah.
good happens, a blessing.
Well, what I like about all these stories and numbers is that they keep introducing all these new characters and like what they did and like all these stories just pop up out of nowhere where they're doing something. And then how God deals with that story and then, like even just any of them really. I mean, how many names do we pick up on today's podcast? A lot.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so I think it's kind of cool. All right, well, I don't want to keep you if you're gotta rest. But
Yeah.
I would start
I
writing
just
your script, Joshua.
yeah. I think it's a good idea. At least,
It is.
I don't know.
I got so busy trying to finish this one that I kind of wish I had free time again to write something new, but I don't think I'm gonna get it anytime soon. So I'm okay
Well,
with
you will.
you writing something, the whole script, so I don't worry about it. And then I'll storyboard your story.
How long does it take to write a script, do you think?
Oh, at least 2, 3 months.
Yeah. All right. Well, I could start. I got some other writing I have to do in January. And
So we're never gonna get a script?
no, next year. Next year is going to be lots of writing for me.
All right, well, that'll be
So
just
a
in time to
script.
start a new one by that time.
Yeah.
If we live through 2025, which is a death and destruction coming out.
Oh, really? Next year, lots of death and
Yeah,
destruction? Really?
2025 was marked as a year of depopulated everywhere.
Oh, really? By
Uh,
who?
well, do you ever heard about the Deagle
Eagle?
report?
Yeah, I've heard about it. But is that
Pretty
authoritative?
down.
Like, I don't know who they are or
No,
what.
they're okay.
I've heard of it.
What they did because they were connected to the government and weaponry and all of that stuff. So they made these predictions based on what was going to be happening. But for some reason, they posted stuff where all the countries were like 80 to 90% less population than the year before in 2025. So like we have 400 million Americans. It reduced it down to 99 million.
Why did they explain why they did that?
No, but it caught on. It caught on everywhere. This was before 2020. So I think they knew something that might have thought that it was going to actually happen based on whatever the government was doing because they were connected to the government. So all of a sudden, they took it down, but everybody already read it by that time. And
Who reads it? Like, so this is a forecast that people
yeah,
use to
well,
for
on the
like business
website,
corporations. Who uses
yeah.
this information?
Well, all their contractors, whoever, they post. I don't even know why they posted
No,
it.
I've heard of it. I just, you hear of it, but it's like, well, are these like legitimate people making these forecasts, or is this a bunch of weirdos? But it sounds like they're like a legitimate information resource that people use.
Yeah, except for
Yeah.
one thing, it didn't even matter if they were legitimate or not. The impact of them saying that world's population was going to be reduced 80%, which is ridiculous anyway. So that scared the whole world. Like, and then,
You're gonna need a lot of that red heifer juice.
yeah, but it's not even them. It is everybody who made some sort of stupid prediction about 2025. And then
Well,
2030
okay.
agenda got accelerated. Guess what they said? Oh, we're going to
What?
accelerate it to 2025.
No, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
about that. I knew 2030 was a big deal, but they've
right.
accelerated it. Wait,
Yeah, they
when did
got
they do
tired of
that?
2030. They wanted to do it earlier.
When did they do that?
Oh, last a year or a year before, they were trying to accelerate it.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah,
After the
after the
plague,
yes.
after the
So,
plague narrative.
so
Really?
my theory is that God actually slowed it down and stopped it. It would have happened, but something, I think God did something to prevent it from carrying out the plan that they had in there.
Well, I haven't seen a whole lot of repentance though.
Yeah, but God does not want 80% of the population to die like that. I mean,
I don't know.
not at least
Revelation
without
says
known.
lots of
Well, they
people are
will,
going to
but I
die.
don't think it's the time. So, like, what did Jesus say that uh, if the time is not cut short, no flesh will be saved? Now, he could have meant different things, but assuming it's a physical death, then at some point there's going to be that depopulation thing going on. If
Well,
you assume it to be,
in the what's that movie with Harrison Ford and the replicants?
yeah,
The part two of that, the part two, they said 2025 was the Great Reset, basically with the
oh yeah, that was the
electronics,
other thing.
computers. That
Yeah,
was what's the name of that movie? I can't remember. You know the movie I'm talking about, the replicants. But yeah, that was the big event in that
right.
movie, which just came out a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so either God will allow something, but we're already 2025. We're only days away. So I
That's
think
right.
God is protecting us from the evilness that want
Yeah,
to
but
happen.
2025 is about to start, so we
Right.
don't know what's going to happen really. And then we got Trump and Musk,
Which is another scary
Elon.
thing, right? Because how did Elon and I mean, I guess it's bound to happen since they're both big people, but still, like the timing of that is so strange.
And why Elon Musk is part of the government now of all things.
Yeah,
I actually knew that was gonna like I thought that was gonna happen in the past, but it never seemed like it would ever happen. But now suddenly it's happened.
just like that. And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's the government that funded all of his businesses. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
that's
Yeah, I
how
know.
he's rich.
Remember what platform we're on here, but
Yeah, yeah. So the point
anyway,
is like
uh
he is a special character for sure, like one of the
well, he's
biggest.
a character. Yeah, that's for
Yeah,
sure. The world stage, but and now we got the whatever's going on. We got the intensifying of the
it's
alien
accelerating.
narrative. The
Yeah.
alien narrative is accelerating quite a bit, really, yeah,
So
in the
imagine
mainstream
if that
media.
comes to pass, and then they said, "Oh, well, because AI is also working in that background."
AI, you got
Yeah.
AI, aliens, all kinds, just everything. And then,
Yeah.
have you heard about this Catholic Church is opening these portals?
Oh
You know?
no.
Oh yeah, someone sent me an article. I was going to make a video on it. I just have so many videos going on right now, but the Vatican is opening up all these portals
Wow. Like something.
that like every 50 years or something, like they open up a portal. But now they're opening up a portal for the first time, a special portal, which is the portal of a prison.
Wow.
And
So
where does that sound familiar here? Revelation 20,
is that the
uh,
hordes that come out
the key
to the
of the
abyss?
abyss,
Yeah.
that's the prison,
Yeah.
and he bound him for 1,000 years, and then after these things, he must be released for a short time.
So maybe they're opening up that portal for the demons to come out now.
I thought they did that already, but who knows? But yeah, this would be the end of the millennial reign, according to
Yeah.
my idea,
You
or
should
the
also see
millennial.
Tim
And
Cohen's analysis of Prince Charles. So he did an analysis on the emblems. So part of their emblems is that the dragon has a foot, or no, the dragon is chained up, and then another picture, it's released. So
then
I think a lot is going on, and we could literally just go crazy with all
was
the.
that was you posted the video of
Yeah,
that, right?
that's the
Okay.
interview with Tim Cohen. I'm not sure if I
Okay.
posted this. I did do
So
one with him,
yeah.
but
So
one
you
of them
got
has to
some
do with the
yeah.
dragon thing.
Yeah, well either way, I mean this, the key, the abyss is the prison
Yeah.
where Satan was locked up. And then there's tribulation, and then they did not repent of their murders nor of their pharmacone or pharmakia, whatever this is,
Or their sexual immorality,
pharmacone, the
sorceries.
pharmacone, and their porn, which
Yeah,
is what we just read about. We just read
right.
about Numbers 25. Numbers 20. Oh, by the way, yeah, Numbers 25 is all over the place. That event. But anyway, so
Well,
um,
next time, rest up, and we'll talk about that.
yeah, I just fade out.
No,
I'm pretty good in
it's
the morning, and then like for a few months now I've had trouble after lunchtime. I just kind of I lose my energy. I don't know what the deal is. And guess what I'm doing on Christmas?
what
I'm putting video. Well, anyway, I don't know your views on Christmas, but I'm putting videos out now
I
about
saw it.
Christmas. But I have one
I
more
mean,
on the Christmas tree. We don't have to talk about that now. But what I'm doing on Christmas, my excuse is a real excuse. I have a doctor's appointment.
uh,
So
well, I want
sorry, I
you to get
can't go.
healed. I want you to. I mean, I know it's a pagan or whatever, all this other stuff, but honestly, we should just be in Christ. And if that's the day that
Yeah,
we could spend to say, fine, I'm okay with that.
yeah.
I mean, I
There's
don't
there's
have a
a
Christmas
yeah.
tree. I have nothing in my house that's Christmassy.
That's good. That's the main point. I was only going to do a video on the Christmas tree itself, but then
Yeah,
I got curious, like, well, when did Christmas actually start? What's the deal with
right.
this? And then I
Yeah.
learned some things. I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. Just put this out there I just was wondering. I didn't know. But my main Christmas tree video still, I made it, but it has to be edited, and it's a 3 hour monstrosity, which
Wow,
I don't
really?
even want to like begin editing because it's but I have to finish it by Christmas. I wanted to finish it before this, but I got sick and all
Yeah.
this. So I don't want to put it up right even next week. I have to put it up next week now, but I didn't want to do that because I don't want to like push everyone's button. That's not my point, but
Why?
you
Push
know,
those buttons. It's
well,
fine.
I don't want to like just make
Yeah,
people
give me something to
angry
watch on Christmas. Well,
because
people
that's
are
going to be
angry
more of
anyway.
an emotional
Well,
reaction.
part of your video should include that we have Christ and we can celebrate him every day. And if there's
Yeah.
one designated, because I actually made a song for a happy birthday. I mean,
Yeah, we could
it's part
celebrate
of,
the birth of Christ.
yeah,
Absolutely.
right. Which is fine with me because it's like, okay, I can celebrate Christ every day, but if there's a special day that everybody wants to keep, I'll make it even more.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, people are going to do what they want to do. And,
Yeah,
people like to have these little parties and stuff. I asked my pastor about it. He said, every day is Christmas. So
right.
even at my church, Christmas is a pretty low key affair there. They don't really get into the whole Christmas thing, even at church. But it's a very conservative church. But other churches, they're wearing the
Oh, yeah.
reindeer horns and trees and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not much
even the
different than the
name
world.
Christmas it means Christ Mass, which is a Catholicism thing.
Yeah, which
I don't
kind
even
of
like
came
that name.
from, well, that came from the Constantine era, where they basically what happened is all the citizens of Rome were polytheists, right, or pagans, And
Yeah.
then one day Constantine said, "Hey, we're all Christians now. Everyone must be Christian." Well, the spirit didn't come on people through Constantine, right?
Yeah.
So people are still basically pagans at heart, and they want to keep having their little winter festival parties,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Well, it's like
because
so you have to they just kept it going and changed the name of Saturnalia to Christmas.
well, think about this with all the celebration of Christmassy things worldwide and especially in the US. Why, and that's supposed to represent the spirit in their hearts to Christ. Then why are we even experiencing all these crazy things? We wouldn't. So something is off. The spirit is not there.
Yeah, and that's why in my videos I show like in the 1800s Christians were more negative, had a negative view of Christmas. But in our
Yeah.
generation, everyone loves Christmas. But I gotta go
No,
before
it's,
I die.
yeah, don't die.
I'm not feeling
Uh,
good right now. So
all right. Well, no, you'll be
so anyway,
fine.
thanks a lot. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
the thing, and we'll
And
talk to
everybody
you guys
prayed
later.
for him to get healed soon.
All right, I have to. Yeah, all right,
All
thanks
right.
a lot.
I'll
I
talk
gotta
to
go.
you
Sorry about that. All
later.
right.
Bye.
Yeah.